Let me out! Let me out! I want out!
At last.
The king's back and the throne's mine. The future's here and it's my time. Straight shot, going for the head with it. Take his head off and say that I did it. Good riddance. Say hi to the bad guy, I'm back in business. If you took what's mine, I'm back to get it. There's nothing you can do, I'm back with vengeance. Now turn me loose. Now turn me loose.
Okay, cool. Hello. Sanjel's representing for the Grey Pill. Just want to give them real quick. I appreciate you, Just Jerry Podcast. I just want to give a mic check real quick. So if you can hear me loud and clear, testes 1 2 3, testes 1 2 3, and we can continue the conversation. This is going to be part 2 of the full-length video, full-length interview with Just Pearly Things, interviewing Nick Fuentes. You look him up. He is claimed to be the white supremacist and anti-Semite, all that good stuff. So I appreciate you, Reaper. All right. So it was a lot yesterday. I was trying to like grind it out for the whole 3 hours and 40-something minutes of the interview, but it got very intense. So, and it got late. So I was like, we might as well do a part 2. All right. Appreciate you on Reaper. All right, so let me share this real quick so we get into the conversation. Yeah, wow, 4 people watching tonight. Good stuff. I know, right? That's hot. That is hot. See how you in timeout right now? Love the disrespect. Now it's 3. Hey, now it's 3. There you go. Appreciate you, Sincere. All right, so if anybody knows, this is the Grey Pill Podcast where we promote free thinkers and open perspectives. We don't allow disrespect, definitely don't allow no rudeness and whatsoever via the chat, via here. Chat can do whatever they want to do, but have some respect. First warning, time out. Second one, you're getting kicked and banned. Go ask all the friends. They will let you know. Okay? Morals. Taste real good. All right. Appreciate you again. Just Jerry Podcast. Reaper, salute to you. Sincere salute to you. Reaper says, shout out to Reaper, says she is void of logic or of intelligence. She's going deeper into that route because H3. Yeah, I saw that. We're gonna go down that road too. We're gonna go down that road too because I like people do all their reactions and get all their tea drinking out the way. And I like to give my own perspective of it. So we're gonna definitely have that conversation too. But we got to go ahead and finish and digest Nick Fuentes. But before we do, let me go ahead and take another sip of morals. That tastes so good. That tastes so good. You see, Sincere, this is how you handle people. This is how you handle individuals, Sincere. Okay? No muss, no fuss. Once, twice, 3 times a lady. That's it. That's it. All right. All right. Now we're done making an example of ignorant people. All right. So just to get an update. Yeah, man, drinking period gum. How about that life? All right. So last time where was at? We was at with Just Pearly Things interviewing good old Nick Fuentes. He was at the part where he was pretty much denying the Holocaust at this moment. So yeah.
Why would you not want to close border?
I know.
That's not even.
That's just like a no-brainer.
And Roots, because Roots, the founder of Roots.
All the survivors we hear today, no, that's one. And two, I think, guys, we tricked you. Actually, that just to me just sounds like Hollywood, and there's no evidence that existed. Like, as you go to the remaining death camps, 2 of them, I believe, were like destroyed, and then 2 of them remain, and they don't even have anything that resembles that. The stuff that they say that they used as a gas chamber, they used Zyklon B. Zyklon B gas was a delousing agent. They would bring in the clothes, and the disease was rampant at that time. It's a prison. It's like all these people are stuck together, and there was a war going on. People get typhus, and they get sick, so they would delouse the clothes. And so they put clothes there, and they'd use Zyklon B as a chemical agent to clean the clothes. And then decades later, they said it was a gas chamber to industrially kill people. I just think that's a load.
Why would they make this stuff up?
So to make it more compelling. That's why they make movies about it. That's why they write these dramatic fictional accounts of it.
But don't they have people that were actually there that could speak on it? Did they not talk about it?
No, because all the people that
come on, they're Holocaust survivors.
They didn't survive the gas chamber. They just talk about people. They talk about things they saw when they were like little kids, and they didn't even understand what was going on. Mm-hmm. So, and there's also this thing where if you look at
think any adults made it out? None.
All the survivors we hear today. No, that's one. And two, I think that with a lot of them, they embellish the story. Because if you look, there was a survey that was done in Israel of Holocaust survivors, and there was like an absurd number of them that said that they were operated on by Joseph Mengele, the Nazi scientist. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, did like millions of people get operated on by this guy, or did they just like come up with that? Is that just something that happened in their imagination? And I think that with a lot of it, that's what's going on. Because there is no like hard evidence that there were gas chambers.
Why would they make that up?
Like I said, that's why they make boy in the striped pajamas.
Because
all right, so that's full of crap. That's full of crap. Shout out to the chat. The chat is very lively today. But yeah, so we'll challenge one of the questions here. One person said, shout out to everybody that's coming into the chat. We got some Nick fans, which is fine. I'm fine with whoever respecting Nick Fuentes. We have one person that says, where is it? I'm sorry. Nick did nothing wrong. So Icy Koozie, could you explain what he did not do wrong? Because in my opinion, he just denied the Holocaust, which is actually true. I don't know whose worst root is. Shout out to Reaper said, I wonder what this guy would say about King Leopard and all the excuses he come up with for yeah. But it's something I want to show here. There's a full documentary on the last survivors of the Holocaust. There is one, because I don't want to make it too long. There's a Holocaust survivor reconnecting after long turmoil. So we can show that real quick so we can get some actual context to this. So again, thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate you. If you're new, which I see a lot of new people in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button. Again, this is a conversation based on the interview between that Just Pearly Things is giving Nick Fuentes. Yeah, I'm aware of the trolls. They're more than welcome here. As long as it's not No, as long as nobody's not being rude, disrespectful. If you're a fan of Nick Fuentes, hey, you're welcome. It's a conversation. So here is let me share this real quick. Because at this moment, this is when Nick is denying the Holocaust. So we have some documentary evidence of the Holocaust.
The atrocities of that time. We are also reminded of the incredible resilience of the survivors.
That's right. Ruth Brandspiegel is one of those survivors. She's in her 80s now, but still has clear memories of living in a displaced persons camp in Austria as a child. Well, during the pandemic, Ruth received the surprise of a lifetime with not just one, but two life-changing reunions.
At nighttime, we were traveling, and at daytime, we stopped so the Nazis won't get us.
At just 2 years old, Ruth Brandspiegel and her family fled their home in Poland.
My uncle had a big truck, and he said to my mother, just pack up whatever you need for your child, and we are leaving because the Nazis are right behind us.
Miraculously, they survived. And in 1945, Ruth's family made it to a displaced persons camp in Austria.
We met this family with Sasha. He was like 4 years younger than I was.
Sasha and Ruth becoming fast friends, playing together for years until they found safer places to call home. Ruth in America and Sasha in Israel.
Were you always thinking about those friends that you left behind, especially Sasha?
Sure did. We always talked about it with my parents. I was the only child, so we were always talking about Sasha.
But 71 years later, a chance mention during a virtual Yom Kippur service led to another miracle.
My son is a cantor in East Brunswick. Being it was in this virus and our synagogue was closed, the only one that I could listen to is to my sons. And the rabbi was calling out names, and I usually walk away from that part, but not this time. I don't know why. It's destiny. It's destiny. And I just listened to the whole thing. And all of a sudden, the rabbi said, Sasha Eisenberg.
Turns out, Sasha Eisenberg not only attended Ruth's son's synagogue, he lived less than 60 miles away.
Larry, my son, called him and said, do you remember Regina Putter? That was my maiden name. And he said, of course I do. My God. And then he called me, and both of us were crying on the phone. 71 years. It felt like it just happened yesterday.
A month later, Sasha and Ruth decided to reunite in person.
We could not hug, and that was the worst thing. We were crying, and it was an emotional day.
What are the odds, do you think?
I wouldn't like to bet on it at all that it ever will happen again. There is a word in Yiddish called basheir, which means events occur without you realizing that somebody planned it and it happened, just happened to the benefit of both.
Little did Ruth or Sasha know that their reunion was just the beginning.
I said, well, I just found my first girlfriend, and I was jumping around and dancing, and it just was a remarkable day.
A few states away in Ohio, Ira Segalowitz read about their reunion and realized he had been at the same displaced persons camp, and Ruth was his first love.
I kept thinking a lot about her, and wondering, and never found each other. Years just kept going by. That's your first love, you kind of remember that.
Ira and Ruth reuniting virtually with their children and grandchildren present.
I kept thinking about you for a long time, I thought,
Really?
Yeah, I had the hots for you.
Ruth gave you a special memento that you've actually held on to all these years.
She gave me her handkerchief with her initial on it, and I had a special box that I had built, and I put all my treasures in that, and that's where it was for 70 years.
You know what? I don't even remember giving it to him.
Now, Ruth and Ira speak at least once a week, reminiscing and celebrating their renewed friendship.
The best part is to find my dear friends, and they become like family. It's unbelievable that these two friends of mine are alive and I can talk to them.
I think the best part is to know that people survive, gain strength, and as long as there is life, there is hope, and build a new life or renew the memory.
Wow, what a story.
All right, that was the nice version after all that stuff all that stuff they went through, right? But there's some hard times, and we'll show that a little bit later. But we're gonna get a little bit more to the interview. Shout out to Lady Navor, appreciate you for coming through. Shout out to Sincere, she said, "Great, I think people who came in your chat are probably cannibals." Hey, welcome to the Grey Pill Podcast. You know, again, I appreciate them. They're fans of Nick Fuentes. That's cool. You know, if they have any input on the stuff with the conversation, they're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification, and put all their positive feedbacks in the chat. They're more than welcome. They are more than welcome. All right, so back to the interview. Since Nick said he denied the Holocaust, and we just gave some just a slither of information with the Holocaust survivors, and we'll dive in a little bit deeper with that too. And I have to be fair. Pearly things at this moment is Lily questioning him like, "Are you serious at this moment? Are you serious? Like, what about this? What about the internment camps? What about the gas chambers? What about this?" She gave him like 3 options that's historical found within that. And he's still denying it. Oh, they're making it up. So we're going to see more of the conversation. So shout out to Pearly Thanks at this moment.
It's the Jewish people in the media.
It's about creating this narrative that the Jewish trauma is the worst trauma that anyone's ever had.
The same way they do that with Roots, because Roots, the founder of Roots said, or the guy who made Roots said in quotes, "I wanted to make a myth for my people to live by." That was the quote that he used. So like that kind of sounds similar. It's like the system. It's the same system.
Well, and here's what the Jews say. This is what they say about the Holocaust. They say, and they will literally, like, for example, in the Ukraine war, Zelensky said, "This is like the Holocaust." And the state of Israel came out and said, "That's anti-Semitic. You cannot compare it to the Holocaust," because it's part of their belief that the Holocaust is literally the worst thing that ever happened. Mm-hmm. Why? They say because it was an industrial extermination of the Jewish people. And so is that specifically industrial horror aspect of it, the idea that they were using modern technology, a gas chamber, this deception, this trick, mm-hmm. And the Nazi scientists and all this. So it's all of that is part of creating this extremely compelling narrative that they were the victims of the worst thing ever. And who did it? The Nazis. Who did it? This guy that believed in white people. And so as a consequence.
Well, he didn't believe in white people. He had his own ideas and agenda against actually 2, mostly the Jews. And then if you're black, oh, you getting it too. So that was a pretty big deal in that time.
And so what can we never have? We can never be proud of our heritage.
And anybody that followed him had the same thinking and ideal as him, since he's saying him and theys had the same ideas and thinkings.
As white people, we can never say things like America or Europe should be white places. Mm-hmm. We can never have a strong, charismatic leader. Like all those things are no longer allowed because Hitler did the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. And
his followers. It wasn't just Hitler and his followers. Anybody that followed him or his subordinates, they was just in it with them too. But again, this is all documentized versus a mid 20-something year old kid that doesn't really know too much about the history. But I digress.
You know, as a consequence, things like having a strong, charismatic leader are actually good for a country. And it's actually a good thing. Who does it benefit to have a system where there's no strong nationalistic leadership? It benefits people on the margins.
Mm-hmm.
It benefits immigrants, religious and ethnic minorities. It benefits those types of groups. Now, that's fine. Okay, like I think that religious and ethnic minorities should be treated with tolerance and respect. Like, I'm not against that. But what has been created is something where anyone who is against an open, totally liberal international society is branded as Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to close the borders, you're Hitler.
Oh, that's so true.
No, that's not true. I never heard that before. I've never heard that before. I hope we can give a list of people that was saying that and they became Hitler. I never heard nobody claimed Obama was a Hitler. I never nobody pointed the finger at Bush, Clinton. I never heard those terms used for them. Heck, even Trump himself was talking about building the wall. I never heard nobody claim that he was Hitler. They call him a lot of other things, but I never called him Hitler. I wouldn't call him Hitler because he's not.
That's really true. Wow, because they really painted Trump as racist for wanting to close the border.
They painted him racist, but they never called him Hitler. And he was doing it for political means to get more viewers and supporters.
That's a basic. Why would you not want to close border?
I know.
That's not even.
That's just like a no-brainer.
And the crazy thing is, hearing the liberals try to say it's like it's a wall.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know why that would be controversial.
Yeah.
Is a wall more effective than no wall?
Right, yeah. Well, and they say they're for border security, but just no wall. Why? It's a physical structure to prevent people from entering.
At least a fence. Can we get a fence?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that would be okay. And so, but that's what the Holocaust thing to me is really about. At the end of the day, I don't really care about the history of it. What matters?
We don't care about the history, but we're going out of our way to deny it. Make it make sense. We don't care about the history of it, but we're going out of our way to deny it. Okay.
Is they have created the history matters because they embellish it to the point of saying it's the worst thing ever, and therefore society can never be the same. Mm-hmm. Like we have to, because think about it. World War II happens and the old world is destroyed. When I talk about the old world, I mean the old Europe, the old America, this old idea of having king.
A place that he never lived at, and he just visits. This is where he at now, visiting pearly things. Never lived there, wasn't born there. As American as they come.
Kings and queens, this old.
What do you mean? Well, we were in a democracy. Here.
America was.
Yeah, so not here, but.
But in Europe, you still had these vestiges of royalty and autocratic leadership. Even like in Russia, they killed the Tsar, but they had a tyrannical leader. Mm-hmm. In Germany, they had a Kaiser, then they had Hitler. In France, France had been democratic for a long time. But so World War II, the empires, all the colonies become independent. The empires are over. The monarchies are over. The idea of having like a cohesive society is over. And over the last 70 years, it's liberalization, it's globalization. Immigrants are brought in.
What do you mean when you say globalization?
Globalization meaning like, number one, you have all this international trade. Immigration is a big part of globalization. You have all these people, because this has been going on in Europe since the 50s and 60s, actually.
Oh, so you're saying that was the end of Europe being one way, and America being one. That was when more immigration happened and the culture, we sort of lost the culture.
Yeah, because the lesson of World War II, based on the horrors of the Holocaust, is like, this is what happens when nationalism goes awry. This is what happens when nationalism goes
But your
too far.
argument was the Holocaust was not special and all countries have done that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so you're saying, why is the Holocaust special?
Yeah.
Okay, let's put a pin in that. Let's just say that is true, right? Let's just say everybody was getting a tournament cans. Everybody in every country was eliminating 2 to 8 million peoples in every country, right? Does it make it lesser than what it already is? No. It's still the most horrible thing ever. It's still the most horrible thing ever. Period. So why would we downgrade the Holocaust? It doesn't make any sense to do that.
Basically.
And he's denying it. That's the crazy part. It's still a back and forth. We're still denying it. It happened. But now you're saying it happened like every other country it happened, but it still happened. Make it make sense.
Oh. What do you mean, basically?
Well, yeah, I mean, because of course, we're getting into the details of it, but yeah, that's the gist.
Yeah, I mean, but you kind of deny it happened.
I deny some of the parts of
You
it.
deny parts of it don't seem realistic to you. You
Right.
think they were embellished upon.
I think they're embellished, yeah.
The same way. This sounds, oh gosh.
Oh boy.
They're gonna be in
get
trouble.
yourself
This sounds similar to the slavery stuff too, because that's literally the founder of, or the guy who made Roots said, I wanted a myth for my people to live by. So they often.
That's not true. He didn't say that. That's not true. That wasn't said.
But that's what they do, is they embellish. And I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible. It was.
Right.
But they want to make it like more horrible so that they can control people in a way. And that it sounds really similar, because even with the please leave me on YouTube. Please. But even with like the slavery stuff, like that's what they'll do, and they won't talk about instances of like slaves traveling across states. Like when they initially freed the slaves, there were some slaves that felt so indebted to their owners that they would travel across states to pay them back, and they actually had a really good relationship with them, but they act like that wasn't possible, and it was still wrong. It wasn't a good institution, but they don't talk about like the more nuanced things that happened in slavery. And like, I forgot what founding father, but they were talking about how he really like he inherited slaves, and he actually had a really good relationship with them. He didn't make any money off the farm, but it was like if he freed them, they would all, what would they do?
Right.
And so he kind of looked at it as, I have to take care of them, and he wasn't even making money off of the farm. But then they say you're like, even now I'm like, oh gosh.
Well, and that is something that happened when that was one of the big arguments against the abolition of slavery, is that a lot of them would just die because they didn't know how to get along independently, and that did happen for generations.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's not true. That's not true. It's a combination of a lot of things that was happening during that time, but that is not one singularity of it. That is not true.
It's actually one of the reasons that why American blacks have a higher average IQ than African blacks on average, and they say that that's because a lot of them just straight up died after the Civil War.
Really?
Because they couldn't get along.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow.
So, and it is comparable to the Holocaust, and it's.
Hey, hey, New York! I appreciate you. You missed it. We had a little fun time 5 minutes ago. You missed the excitement 5 minutes ago. I appreciate you for coming through. Very much appreciate it. Again, if y'all guys new, hit the subscribe button. If you're fans of good old Nick Fuentes, definitely hit the subscribe button. Definitely hit the bell notification. You're more than welcome to give any piece of positive information and encouraging conversation within the chat and on the replay. I'm sure people will. I saw the last comments on the first video. You're more than welcome. Just keep it friendly and positive. I saw a lot of fans out there for Nick saying, hey, Nick for the win. Nick for the win. We love Nick. I'm all for it. If you're supporting the man, cool. I can't stop you for supporting who you support, loving who you love, but just understand this is a 25-year-old virgin who has no work experience, that got fired from almost every job he had ever since he was 18, got kicked out of a college doing the tiki torch, and literally sitting here lying out his mouth, saying the most outlandish things ever. But that's fine. If you believe everything that a young kids is saying, that is totally fine. That is totally fine. We don't judge here at the Grey Pill Podcast. We just see what we see. So we're gonna get back to the video.
And the important thing is, and it's like you said, they come at you with this narrative of whether it's feminism or racism. If you disagree, oh well, you hate them, or you're a horrible person. It's like, I'm a Christian. I'm against murder. I'm against mass murder. I'm against war. Like, and I've made jokes and things like that, but those are things that I find morally repugnant and wrong. It's just that I'm also a political person. I talk about political issues. And so sometimes it's contentious and it's controversial. But if you have the wrong opinion on something that's so foundational, then they're going to call you these things. And when you get banned from all the media, it's like, where am I? Where do I get my right of reply? Where do I get to go and give my rebuttal? So
on here, Ben, Charlie, I got a seat for you on the couch.
Yeah, there's the plug. Yeah, the super show. I do it. Yeah, and it's
Trump,
a shame.
Kanye.
Yeah,
Trump, let's get this ironed out.
Let's solve it here.
Everything. Look, I'm a great moderator.
Yes, yeah, pretty good, pretty fair. Although, Destiny's going to be pissed.
He'll be pissed?
Yeah.
Why?
He's going to be like, I should have been there to push back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, we can, Destiny. Come on.
He doesn't want to collab with me anymore.
He doesn't want to collab with you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. we had a
if he changes, I mean, sometimes people change their mind. If you change your mind, the couch is available.
We were best.
And that's not true neither. Destiny did a lot of not collaborations like he's on his panel. He was just at his house. He was just at his house in Miami. That's not true. He was literally just at his house in Miami, sitting next side by side with them. And he's been on multiple panels on panels with them. That's not true. That is not true.
Friends, we were like this.
Oh, you were like this?
We were like this.
Is he gonna do that to me now?
Well, y'all wasn't best friends. We're going too far now. Y'all wasn't best friends. Y'all wasn't best friends.
I don't know.
Am I gonna be off of Destiny's? He's always defended me on live.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always.
Well, he's a little bit of a simp, so.
Yeah. Okay, so back to so that's your beliefs on the Holocaust and all that. You were fighting with the conservatives 18.
Yeah.
Now, why were you storming the Capitol? What? I heard that was not a good way to go.
Yeah.
I heard that wasn't a great move.
In retrospect.
In
retrospect.
And that's how you got on the no-fly list and shit.
Yeah.
Are you on if I Google storming the Capitol, are you gonna come up?
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Shout out to Sincere. Sincere says, what does Nick Fuentes consider white? Which we do know is an umbrella word. Nevertheless, is a yeah, true. I would love to hear his take on it because with him, he's not even white. He's Mexican and something else. He's mixed. He's mixed. So if we have Nazis just doing a lot of talking and they say the Aryan race, the pure white race, is not Mexican. If you got if you're half, what you call it, what they used to say, half breed. If you're one part this and one part that, and you're not from both families of the white nation, then you're out. So, yeah. Shout out to you, Edaman. Edaman, if you would like to come up, sir, the link will be in the back. You're more than welcome, sir.
Storming the Capitol.
Probably not.
I just was curious if I could see you with like a flag or something.
Because I wasn't in the building.
Oh, you didn't make it in the building?
No.
Did you do this?
No, I didn't do that. No, I wasn't hanging from the rafters.
Okay.
But, well.
Yeah, what happened at the Capitol?
Yeah, so, this is kind of hear this because it's so politicized. Because, of course, they're trying to get Trump with this. This is like, they want to blame Trump for it and say, like, he tried to overthrow the government. And, so that there's a big significance to it politically for the Democrats. But here's the real story. I was very involved with Stop the Steal, which was the movement leading up to that. We were protesting the election. I don't want to say anything that's going to get you banned on YouTube.
It's okay. We'll put it on Rumble.
Okay. So, I do believe the election was stolen, and we were protesting that in all the state capitals for months leading up to it.
I think it was too. But
Yeah.
I don't have any evidence.
Well, the evidence is...
I just feel like it's weird that I was winning, and election day's on my birthday. Okay. And the thing is, Democrats always win on my birthday. But this year, it was on my birthday's the 4th. That year, it was the 3rd. So conservatives should have won. Because it wasn't on my birthday. And so I went to bed thinking we had it in the bag.
Wow.
And then when they were counting the votes on my birthday, and I was... Then they all switch over in my sleep.
Yeah, right.
If I was going to steal an election, now I don't have any evidence. I have not watched anything. I'm just, as an American, number one, if election day's not on my birthday, we should have won.
Yep.
Obama was elected on my birthday. Bush was not. It was not on my birthday, therefore he was elected. Al Gore was elected. I think that's who it was elected. No, he lost the day I was born. So it was I don't know.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused. So if we go on by that type of logic, I'm confused. So if this is the type of logic that we have, so let's just say my birthday's in April. The Knicks should have won the game. If we're going by that logic, my birthday happened. So what kind of? And this is not an interview at this moment. This is like, let's get together and gal pal. Sure, Icy. Tell them to hit up Duke the Dawn. I'll give you a link. We can set it up. Set up a nice little conversation.
Yeah. No, seriously. My mom was like pushing me out. She was like, "No, worst day ever." but I just think it's weird how everything switched in our sleep.
Yeah.
Now, again, I got no evidence. I'm not going to die on this hill.
Yeah.
I just think it was weird.
Yeah. Well, and here's the problem. It's one simple thing. It's about these mail-in ballots, because in 2016, I think it was 33% of the electorate voted by mail or did early voting. 33%. In 1996, it was 6%.
Okay.
So the early voting is a very new phenomenon, and it's never been a huge percentage of people. In 2020, it was 70%. 70% voted by mail. So it doubled from 16 to 2020. And it's not hard to see where there would be irregularities with that, because what you have going on is that also what changed in 2020 is that everybody was automatically registered as an absentee, meaning that they didn't have to vote in person because of the pandemic. That's never happened. In years prior, you had to request an absentee ballot to vote by mail or to do early voting, which requires like a verification. You got to put in your info, you get the ballot, and not a lot of people did that because it's kind of a hassle. So in 2020, they register everybody. They send ballots out to everybody. Like my dead uncle. My uncle's been dead for 20 years. We got a ballot for him. They send all these ballots out, and then they collect them at drop boxes. Where? Everywhere. There's drop boxes everywhere, and they're open 24 hours a day, and it's actually legal to harvest mail-in ballots. You could be a guy, and you could carry, in some states there's a limit, you can carry like 5 ballots with you and dump them off in the mailbox. So it's very simple. It was the highest turnout of any election. There were 150 million votes. Trump got 74 million, highest vote getter of any president. Biden was at 80 million, highest vote getter ever. Biggest turnout in any election, automatic absentee registration, 24-hour drop boxes, early voting extended, 70% early voting. All these things taken together, it's like it paints a very clear picture of what was going on. Specifically when they took so long to calculate the votes, not in Nebraska or Kansas or California, but where? Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin. All the swing states took the longest to calculate. And what was going on very simply is that the Democrats were harvesting these ballots in the urban centers. They did the same thing.
That's also not true neither. They was actually hiding. It was weird because it was like a whole strategy with that too. It was like they was making ways for people in the states that he just mentioned. They was making ways where people couldn't even actually get to certain ballots to vote at a certain day, certain time. Like that's what was going on. It was on the news. Then they had to do a recount. Georgia was one of them. They had to do a recount just to make sure. So that's not even true. It was on the news about that. State per state per state.
In 22, and this is just a game now. So in any case, that's the argument. But we were protesting all of this in 2020.
Can I ask you a quick question? Who do you think stole it, like specifically? Do you think it was the Democrats as a party? You think it was a specific person? You think
I think it was the Democrats
state?
as a party.
Oh, the Democrats as a party.
I think they just took it. I mean, and this is where people get it wrong. Like they did recounts in some states, and they recounted the votes, and it was all legit. Okay. But the problem is maybe voter fraud is the wrong way to say it, although I think a lot of that happened because it's like, for example, if you're a Democrat, if I'm a Democrat, I get my dead uncle's ballot, I fill it out, I sign it, I put it in the mail. That's counted as a legitimate ballot.
You think that Democrat, like it was a specific Democrat that did it, or was Democrats across the board?
I think it's Democrats across the board.
Really? I just think that would be so hard to organize. Like if I was to guess, this is just, Pearl's speculation, no evidence. I would just think it was someone doing it behind the scenes. Like there had to be, if they're going to steal a nationwide election, someone has to kind of orchestrate it, you think.
Yeah, and that's possible too.
Because do I think Republicans, they might do the same thing. Everyone's got dead people in their family.
Well, I don't mean, that's just an example of what one can do. And what you can do is go door to door, because Democrats are superior organizers. Door to door and say, hey, you get your ballot, fill it out and give it to me. And then they go and dump it off in a mailbox.
Oh, that would make more sense.
Right? You go door to door. Hey, get all the ballots in the house and give them to me. And I'll just go door to door and collect all these ballots and dump them off in a drop box.
Oh, that would make sense.
So it's like they're just harvesting as many Democrat ballots as exist.
Who is they? I would like to know who is they, because we keep seeing a lot of speculation on conversations, but who is they? Like, I feel like these are a lot of pronouns we keep throwing around. Him, they, them, those, us, we's. Who is they? Who is they? Can we pinpoint it down? That would be a good question for the interview. Who is they?
And some of them are dead, and some of them are people that are indigent, and some of them are people that are, that would never vote otherwise or whatever. Some of them, maybe they're filling them out for somebody else.
But that goes back to what you were saying earlier, where we think we have control over these things as the American people, but we don't, according to you, anyway.
Well, yeah, and maybe the overriding thing is there are just so many irregularities. You cannot conduct an election like this. Like, you have to have one person, one vote in person on election day. You can't have it where everybody can turn in a ballot over a 30-day period on the street corner.
Especially not women.
Especially not women. Yeah, in no circumstances.
No.
They can't even vote at the ballot box on election day.
No.
They can vote for, the recipe for dinner. Or the YouTube channel. Because this is a good show.
Yeah,
so, you do that.
Yeah, women can't work except me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. My dad runs it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was 2020. And
so then you went to the now explain what happened at the Capitol.
So that was supposed to be, and I'm not saying this to just like save my own skin. That was supposed to be totally uneventful because the Trump White House reached out to all the different Stop the Steal groups and organized a rally on the Ellipse, which is outside the White House.
This seems to be a theme with conservatives, poorly planned events.
Yeah.
Events that go off the rails.
Yeah, you could say that. we're rowdy. I don't know. The BLM has their share of that.
I'm just in these stories. That just seems to be the theme.
White people are popping off, man. White people are sick of it. Charlottesville, the Capitol. This is what happens when you push white people too far. You push black people too far, they burn down the Wendy's. You push white people too far, they storm the Capitol. No, just saying. No, but I'm just kidding, Blessing. I didn't mean that. We're cool though. It was cool when they burned down Wendy's.
Blessing, tell HR.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the Capitol, you thought this was an event. There was going to be something else.
Yeah, it was supposed to. And honestly, honest to God, I almost wasn't even going to go because, basically it was over. Like, Biden at that point was just going to become the president. So I was like, why even go? What's the point? But I got VIP tickets. Trump was going to speak there because he had never spoken at the other Stop the Steal rallies. So I was in the VIP section. I got my tickets and everything. And so I wore a suit that day. The whole time for all the other rallies, I was wearing like a bomber jacket and boots because we were marching around and doing rally stuff. So this one, I thought I'm going to attend this event and then go to dinner and do some interviews. And then that would be that. So I go, Trump gives a speech, great speech, whatever. And he says, well, we're going to go and peacefully make our voices heard outside the Capitol. I said, oh, okay. So he wraps up the speech and everybody at the Ellipse goes and marches. I think it's like 1.5 miles east to the Capitol. And by the time we get there, people are like climbing up the thing, the scaffolding, and the cops are retreating into the Capitol. Tear gas is going off. And so basically it was just a riot. And what happened was the first wave of people that got to the Capitol, because I got there later, the first wave of people that got there, they found that the entire complex was fenced off. So not just the building, but the lawn, everything.
What did they think they would accomplish by storming the Capitol?
I don't think they were trying to accomplish anything. It was just like a riot.
Oh.
They were just like,
I've never been to a riot, so I don't know what.
We're just going to get in there.
I just would think, I don't know. There's a.
It was the spirit was in the air. Okay. That was the Holy Spirit, maybe. This exuberance. It is true though, because everybody, even though it wasn't premeditated, or at least if it was, I hadn't heard about it. Even though it wasn't a premeditated, because there was no plan to take over the building, and secure it and control it. People just broke in and ran around and, screamed like banshees. Even though there was no plan to go in, I feel like everybody kind of wanted to go in, because that's where they were counting the ballots.
Oh, so they were going
votes.
in so they could see it, basically. They're kind of saying...
Or stop it.
Oh.
That's what the government says. That they were going in to stop the count. Because the January 6th date is the last date where you could change the outcome. Because the Congress is sworn in on the 5th. And then on the 6th, the state delegations count the elector votes. And then after that, the inauguration happens on the 20th. So Mike Pence was in the process of counting the elector votes, and they called this the Pence card, or the Pence option, where he was going to refuse to read the votes from the states where there were irregularities, and then neither candidate would get a majority, and then the Congress would decide who the president would be. That was the idea. But Pence stood down. He didn't do it. And so we said, F him. And then I think a lot of people said, we're going in. We're just going to go in there. And then they did, and it was kind of awesome.
But you didn't.
I didn't go in, no.
You didn't go in.
No.
So then why'd you lose did everyone that went in lose their bank account and stuff?
No, that's actually kind of like a long story, because I got this big Bitcoin donation a month before the Capitol. And so when the Capitol happened, also everyone thought I went in there, but I actually didn't. So there was a guy that looked like me in a grainy photograph, and everyone said, oh, that's Nick Fuentes.
Hold on, time out real quick. I apologize. Let me get my ugly face up here. Yeah, Mittens, I suggested it. That was 20 minutes ago. we're still having the same conversation about it, doesn't help. Having the same conversation doesn't help. And I'm talking to you and ICE. It doesn't help. It was mentioned. I said I was interested. That's it. All my information is in my link above. That's it. Nobody's not going to stop the middle of a stream. I don't know what channels y'all been in. I promise you, this is not it. This is not it. I do not know what channels y'all be in to over 30-something people come into a live stream, ask with strawberries, ask multiple times to say, hey, can you debate this person? That was not my plan tonight. Trust and believe. I worked, got my check, got a shower, came in, do a conversation. That's it. Nobody's not going to stop in the middle of a stream and say, hey, let me go out my way to debate a stranger I don't know. Does that even make any sense? So when my mods is sitting there trying to engage with you and let you know, like, hey, either add something to the conversation that's what's going on now, or heck, talk about pizza and chicken or tacos in the chat. But if you're still trying to make a point to somebody else that I personally know in my chat, it doesn't look good for you. So again, move on with the conversation, or my mods is going to do what they need to do. Like I said, I get one warning. You get timed out. The second one, you're just going to get bans. It's okay with me. So it's your choice. So again, I'm gonna repeat the question. I'm gonna answer the question with the question. What's wrong when engaging in the conversation on a platform about the actual subject? So let's continue. Shout out to you, Ice. I appreciate you again. If you're new, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Definitely hit the bell notification because that helps out with everything in the Great Pill Podcast. Appreciate you.
And then that guy was identified and arrested. So it wasn't me. But that week, everyone was saying I was in the building with this guy, Baked Alaska, who's a friend of mine. And so anyway, so these journalists kind of put two and two together, and they're like, he was in the Capitol. He got this big Bitcoin donation. And they said, oh, someone financed the takeover of the Capitol.
Oh.
Which led to this big FBI investigation into me. And they froze the money for that reason.
Well, I guess if that actually happened, like if you actually did that, it's not like you're going to say you did it.
Right. But
I'm just thinking if I was a liberal and I was listening to you, I'd be like, well, of course he's going to say that he didn't take the money. How would you prove that,
Well, because the Capitol happened, like anything regarding the Capitol happened way after I got the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I got the money on December 8th.
I mean, you'd have to plan it if you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I'm thinking, like, why would they freeze his bank account? I mean, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't. It was a horrible look. And here's why. The guy that gave it to me was French. It was in crypto, and it was like a massive amount.
How much was it?
It was like 13.5 Bitcoin.
How much is that?
So at that time, it was worth like $250,000.
You got someone to send you $250,000?
Well, because...
Does he like this channel?
He's dead.
Oh, okay.
Because, see, this story gets even weirder. I didn't even know who this guy was.
Okay.
No idea who he was. He was a French programmer who killed himself the day after he sent the money.
Wow.
Because I guess he was a programmer or a hacker.
Does he have like a widow?
No, I don't think so.
Not for no reason.
He was an incel like me. Yeah,
okay.
No, but he was just...
Nick Fuentes is an incel? I did not know that. Incel. An incel. What is an incel? This is for educational purposes only. Incel. Is an incel. Let me share this real quick. Incel. Nick Fuentes is admitting that he's an incel. He also admitted he's a virgin too. I mean, shout out to him for being a virgin. I'm not going to knock him for that. Where are we? All right. Blow this up so I make sure y'all can see the screen. What is an incel? An incel is a portmanteau of involuntary celibate in its most basic form. Incel describes someone usually a male, shout out to Nick, who is frustrated by their lack of sexual experiences. Okay. They got the psychology of a incel. Incels will report more depressive and anxious symptoms, greater fear of being single, lower levels of social support and self-esteem, higher levels of loneliness, and endorse more problematic coping strategies. Let's repeat that again. And endorse more problematic coping strategies relevant to non-incels. Incels will also demonstrate a pattern of less secure attachments. This is going a lot with a lot of stuff he was doing and saying at the Tiki Torch. A lot of stuff that was said and done when he got fired to Daily Wire. I left links of that below in the other one, so that's a lot. That's a lot.
He made all his money in Bitcoin, and he developed this horrible, debilitating illness, which is, they say, the most painful disease. It's a neurological condition. There's no cure. So he was set on killing himself. But he was like a fan of mine. He was a fan of other right-wing creators. And he wrote a suicide note talking about how the West is dying, and people like me and others are bringing it back. So he wrote a suicide note saying, I can't heal myself. I'm going to kill myself, but I'm going to bequeath my fortune to these people who are saving the West. So he sent half of it to me, and the other half he sent to a bunch of people. And then he got a luxury hotel room in Paris and committed suicide the next day. And so I didn't even know that at the time. I didn't find that out until a month later when the government investigated it and they put it out in this report.
Little did he know he got you on the no-fly list in your bank account.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, that's a sad situation, so I shouldn't be laughing. But it's like he almost did the opposite.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, hey,
spend any of the money first?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the finances on this, the legal aspects of it, but yeah, it's. I mean, I retained some of the Bitcoin for sure.
Oh, okay. So, but that was why they put you on the no-fly list.
The no-fly list was also separate because I made this joke about killing a flight attendant.
Wait, why?
So I said that was the reason.
Okay, wait. So what outcome did the Bitcoin thing have?
Well, the Bitcoin thing is still ongoing.
Oh, so they're still investigating you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's still ongoing. And then the no-fly list, so I got put on the no-fly list after January 6th, and then they took me off of it. And they said the reason they put me on is because I made this joke. You know, I was getting harassed by flight attendants with the mask thing, you know, because you put your mask on, it slips below your nose, and they're like, hey, please pull your mask up. And so I went on my show and said, I want to kill these people, you know. I was kidding.
Right, it's tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And so that's why they said they put you on the no-fly list?
Right.
But everyone said that.
I know.
I said, I wanted to kill my producer the other day.
What do your producer have to do with you being on a plane and you have some kind of tiff or issue with somebody keep trying to ask you to? And around that time, it was very frustrating and annoying from everybody else. But I can't recall a day of my life during that time to say, hey, I want to take somebody's life because somebody's asked me to obey the rules within the flight zone, within the airports, within the schools, within the hospitals, within your work. That was the most scary time for a lot of people because a lot of people didn't understand what the C-19 was. People was getting it. People was passing away from it. I had a close coworker I used to call my work mom, passed away from it. I literally just saw her like the next day, and then the 2 days later, everybody at work like she just passed away. I'm like, are you serious? I just went to go visit her. Are you serious? When the first wave happened, I knew somebody that survived it, and he was like, yo, all I did was just stay quarantined, wrap myself around plastic bags, suck up like vitamin C, stay hydrated. And he said that was the worstest feeling he had in his life, and he made through it. So I'm trying to understand, like, how is that relatable to me just pointing at a random person like, yeah, man, I just want to delete you. I just want to take your life. What's the context with that? Where's the context with that? So let me quote Nick. So according to Nick, he had frustrations at the airport. And according to the definition of the incel, so we're going to put that relatable to him. So let's stack on that. So according to Nick, he was frustrated about the rules and regulations at the airport about the mask because he kept asking him to put it on. Because again, that's the first wave of the of C-19 because everybody trying to figure out what's going on now. So they had all these crazy rules. We're aware of the rules. Everybody's still live and kicking now. We're aware of all the rules of that. So he decided to still sit in his masculinity for the whole duration of that time in the flight. 2 hours, 16 hours, wherever he's going. Then when he decided to get home, comfortable now, free to take the mask off, when he got off the airplane and got, free from the airport, he decides that, hey, I'm so frustrated. Let me go on my online on my podcast and say, hey, I want to delete this person. Does that make any sense? In the mental, does that make any sense? And I'll use that for example for Mr. Mittens and Ice, for example, right? Mittens is frustrating me in the chat because they keep asking me and they keep throwing strawberries up in my chat. They are throwing strawberries in my chat 20 minutes ago. Can you debate this person? Can you debate this person? Please, can you debate this person? I want you to stop everything you're doing that you had planned, and can you debate this person? That was very upsetting. Right? Not enough. I'm not losing sleep over it. But would that warrant me enough to come out myself and say, you know what? Let me go home, do a live stream and say, hey, I'm going to take Mitten's life. Hey, I'm going to take Ice's life. For what? Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? Something's wrong with people like that. Something is seriously wrong with people like that. I'm going to get upset because rules and regulations that I knew when I bought the tickets, because again, back in that time, there was so much length of rules and rules and regulations with the cruises with C-19, the airports with C-19, traveling. Heck, New York was pretty much almost ground zero. Barely nobody was on the streets. And everybody know how busy New York was. Everybody had their own rules and regulations, and here we are now. So now I'm going to get upset because I know the rules and regulations before I get there. Just like ignorant people that come in my chats know the basic rules and regulations when they on other people's platforms and in their chats. Does that make any sense? So now I'm going to get upset because I'm aware of the rules and regulations. And I'm going to sit there and let it fester and fester. And then when I get home, nice and secure in my home around the woman, oops, he don't got a woman. So he's a virgin. He just said he's an incel. So now when I get home, instead of me doing something positive with my life, instead I go out my way and say, hey, I want to take this person's life. And I'm pretty sure the video's out there when it gives graphic details and context of what he wanted to do with her. How's this funny? How's this funny? How's this funny? Because we know real people, you wouldn't just randomly say that in somebody's face. So we'll be keyboard warriors, internet thugs, and say that online. The mentality. But somehow this is funny. Ha 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 ha. This is funny. Okay.
Oh, careful, boys.
when I saw the bill for the studio, right, blessing. But you don't actually mean it.
Yeah, well, and there was this
and you can't be the only one that's done that.
Well, and it's absurd to say.
Oh no, please don't put me on it.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it. Bless. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that because this week, this big hit piece came out saying that, well, I lied about why I was on the no-fly list because I didn't tell people it was for this joke that I made. But it's like, do you think the government's going to come out and say we harassed this guy for like very shaky legal grounds? Mm-hmm. Of course, they're going to come out and make an excuse for it and say it's about a joke, because how else would they be aware of it if they weren't investigating me? Why else would they see it as a security threat if it wasn't because I was at the Capitol? So anyway, so that was part of it all. So,
and is that how you lost your bank accounts too?
No, I got banned from different banks just because of who I am.
What do you mean? Like, well, but what caused it? Was
Not
it after you said something? Was it?
No, like nothing in particular. Banks just started banning. They would just send me a letter and say, it's a reputational risk to have you as a customer.
I want my bank
Which is fair. Which is fair. He's been, let the record show again, it's out there online. There's nothing disclosed about this. This is something he's been doing ever since the age of 18. The age of 18. He's in his mid-20s. Doesn't they say this is when the brain doesn't develop around a certain age in your 20s? So he's been acting reckless with his viewpoints ever since the age of 18. It's not just you just randomly saying something. You're out there in the media and every platform, and everybody is deeming you as such. This is not black people talking this. This is people your own race and lack thereof is saying the same thing. You was in the Daily Wire, that was an issue. You were somewhere else, that was an issue. Now your last and final wherever you can get is on Just Pearly Things. It's taking a chance to interview you. And her platform is not always about relationships, Manosphere topics, red pill conversations. This is what her platform is about. And somehow she goes out her way, surprisingly enough, and interview you. Weird.
That I'm not endorsing anything he says. I'm just talking to him. Please don't take my account.
For real, yeah.
Please. I don't know. You know, I just met him today.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I need to dissociate.
Yeah, that's welcome to my life.
Okay, freaking. So I'm going through these. So the no-fly list we covered. We covered the white supremacist. No, we didn't. You don't believe in race mixing.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to?
Yeah, I mean, well, what do you think? Are you pro race mixing? What's your feelings?
I don't have a problem with it.
You just don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, like I've dated people of another race before. It's you know, it's fine. I mean, it didn't work out, but
yeah,
you know, I don't have a problem with it. No.
Yeah, I mean,
you said you're mixed.
Well, I didn't say that. I said I'm Mexican, Italian, and Irish.
Yeah, so that's mixed.
I mean, like kind of. Some would say yes, some would say no. Because my dad's like half Mexican, and you know, Mexican's not really like a whole other race. So.
What do you mean it's not a whole other race?
I mean, because Mexicans are definitely like closer to white people than like black people, for instance.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of Hispanics have white DNA.
Okay. Tell me why.
Yeah.
About race mixing?
Yeah, why are you against race mixing?
Yeah, because that's really immaterial. But, well, I'm just against it because, like, I just want kids that look like me. You know, I just want kids that have my same features, and I want grandkids that look like me. So I think it has a lot to do with the person's values because when you are, because, like, for example, I'm also Italian, and, you know, so my mom, like, you know, she's fully Italian. That's like a very strong cultural part of my identity. My father doesn't really have a very strong Mexican or Irish identity.
All right, so you're leaning to your mom's teat. You're leaning to your mom's teat. All right, it's starting to make sense now. It's starting to make sense now. It's starting to make sense now. When you got them emotional men like that, he just said he's an incel. So now he's leaning to, he's a mama's boy. Make it make sense. He's denying the dad. Maybe the dad, because since we want to stereotype people, a lot of Mexican men is very hardworking and they don't play games. So maybe I think his Poppy kind of put the belt to him a couple of times. Say, hey, you need to get your hands dirty. You need to get out in them fields. You need to start learning how to do some trades. And he said, no, my Italian mommy. I think that's what happened. It's starting to add up. It's starting to add up. Shout out to Sincere. Sincere said Mexicans are 58.96% European, 31.05 Native American, and 10% 0.5. Exactly. Thank you. The math is not adding up with this young gentleman. It's not adding up. But again, this is a perfect example of what people need to be aware of when we on social media. This is something that people need to steer away from. We're on social media. And this is something always somebody need to challenge when we on social media. And you're right, AKA mixed. So there's no somebody could say this, somebody could say that. Nobody in this world, unless you're in that one same country, unless it's Italians and breeding with Italians, Africans breeding with Africans, that's the only way you can come out your mouth and say, hey, I'm almost 98% of something. On the way. And even still, the stats don't lie. The stats don't lie. Even Latinos will tell you they're mixed. It might be all the same race on that side. Hey, I'm Mexican, Puerto Rican. I'm Portuguese and this. You're still mixed. You're still mixed. Be proud of yourself. All right? Be proud of yourself. Don't hate yourself.
His father died when he was very young, and and his mother's not like very super like ethnically Irish. She's not like into that, So the Italian thing, that was like the dominant culture in my house, and so that comes with it a lot of things. Also, being like Italian and Catholic, that's a big part of it. And so the idea that, like, for example, if I had a black wife, I do actually find black girls attractive. I do, and it's not that I'm not attracted to girls from other races, but if I were to get with a black girl, a black household, totally different. Like
you lose some of the culture is what you're saying.
Yeah, you lose your identity.
So like
how? I would like to understand. I'm kind of. This would be a good question. I hope Pearly asks that question. How would you lose your identity? How would you lose your culture? Now, keep in mind, his dad is Mexican, his mom is Italian, but somehow low key, he threw his dad under the bus and said his dad is half or part Mexican, but his dad's still Mexican. So how would Nick lose any culture or any value dating, engage, or living with a black woman? What's any difference between his Mexican dad and his Italian mother? What is the difference? I'm hoping Pearly Thanks ask that question, because that's a very good question.
Like you're Catholic, and if you were to marry someone that was non-Catholic, that would be a loss in culture because the kids grow up with two different religions in the household.
Yeah, they might not get baptized.
And even if like your wife says we can raise them in your culture, the kids are still going to be influenced by the mother. That's half their right.
Yeah, exactly. And so and the other thing is so on my mom's side, and it was even like for my mother, it was a contentious decision within her household because my mom, she came from this super Italian neighborhood in Chicago. It's like Jersey Shore. She came from Melrose Park, which is like super Italian. And all her friends were marrying Italian guys. And I love my father. It's not, I don't have any like, weird hangups about that.
But you just named a few weird hangups, sir. You literally just named a few weird hangups.
But even for her, it was a big decision because, both her parents are Italian and their parents were Italian and so on. And so for somebody like me, I look at my heritage and my ancestry and like, that matters to me. That's like a value that I share. And I want my children to be a part of that. And there's something that is almost lost along the way on both sides when you have that mixing. And so I don't think it's immoral, actually. It's not actually a sin. I'm Catholic, so we don't, in the catechism, it says it's not a sin. But I don't think it's a very wise thing for the marriage. I don't think it's always perfectly compatible. And also, personally.
That makes sense. I mean, even if you did, like, I'm Irish and German, like, it would make more sense for a German to date a German and Irish to date an Irish. Oh God, they're gonna.
Yeah.
But just there's less problems when you have more in common.
Right.
Like even if we took it out of race and put it as religion, like a Christian and a Catholic, it's just easier if they're both Catholics.
Yeah.
Right. Is that
what
what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's part of it. It's for a lot of those kinds of reasons. But I guess the fundamental thing is it's just about identity. And that also gets to the demographics thing, is that people are not interchangeable. And my identity matters to me. Like my ethnic, racial, cultural background, my country. I feel like the whole culture is telling people that these things don't matter. Like, it's almost like a nihilistic thing, like nothing matters. The only thing that matters is you're having a good time. And to me, that's the thing behind race mixing is like, hey, well, you're in love, have a good time. Well, actually, there are things that matter equally or more, or there are also things that are important in addition to that too. Like the household you're going to raise your children in, long-term compatibility, your identity, your heritage. And so, maybe that's just old school, but that's kind of the perspective that I come at it from. And people say, oh, well, what it's about is racial purity. People say you're against race mixing, but your last name's Fuentes, so you're not so pure white. It's like, it's got nothing to do with it. It's not about.
It's more about cultures and values.
It's about, those things I just mentioned. Yeah. It's about a person's identity.
Well, you can still have that. You can still have that. That's where your parents teach you. If your mom is Italian, you're going to be around the family. Now, I don't know her family, but I mean, most people don't hang around their family. Most people don't even like their family. So I don't know her background, her history. But if she's Italian, she's going to teach you how her family is, how they grew up, what they're about. And if they, a little bit wealthy or have the money, they will, take you to Little Italy. You talking about your grandfather making the shoemakers, you kept saying that a couple of times. So, why are you not a shoemaker? And then you got your dad, the Mexican, and we could stereotype him because I think there's a lot of good stereotypes in Mexicans. Hardworking, always on the go, entrepreneurs. They really don't care. They'll take any job. A lot of good family values. Shout out to the Latino community out there. So I'm sure from birth he showed you. I'm very sure from birth, because that's every Latino I know from birth. Oh, they showing you who they are, what they're about. But somehow I'm getting a lot of sense that you don't like yourself and who you are. That's what I'm getting. So
interesting. So do you think you don't think it's a sin? You would just advise people against it more?
Yeah.
More so?
And I think that people should value their heritage because it is, people can say it isn't, but it is a repudiation of your heritage because you can be your children, you're 3 generations removed will be completely different from you. And so it's like, you have this line that goes all the way up to you. And then after then your kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and then they're going to be like aliens.
But hasn't that always happened in history? Like they would kill that's what they would do. They would kill the men and take the women and the children, and then they'd have kids with those women. So it's like,
exactly. That's my point right there. Thank you. Just help me out. Vikings was one of them. The Europeans that came over to America, the Native Americans. Heck, we had blacks that looked just like Native Americans. There's records of that. But it wasn't forced. Most of them was forcing upon others, but the other was, hey, we immigrating. We're moving somewhere else. So that's something you just can't stop. There's something you just can't stop. If somebody's traveling to another country and they find somebody they in love with, guess what? 9 times they're going to mate with. 9, 10 times they're going to have a baby with. That's not the pure white race. Okay. People travel from state to state to state. Hell, look at California. California, we might think it's all about Latinos, but California is very diverse state. A very diverse state. Miami, very diverse. All parts of Florida, very diverse. Atlanta, very diverse. Jersey, New York, very diverse. Heck, you'd be surprised. Other parts of Oregon, Idaho, Colorado, Denver, it's very diverse. So you just can't say one thing on the other. It doesn't add up.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying that.
Good comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's fun, but that's always how it happened.
Yeah, but like what you're describing is like a hostile population is destroying your bloodline after a war.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm not saying it was a good thing. Like
right.
that, I'm happy that happened, but I'm saying historically there's always been race mixing because that's what happened. The stronger tribe would take over the weaker tribe.
And that's like kind of what's happening. And when I don't want that to happen because I mean, the reality is there is another dimension to it. The reality is that white people are going away in the world. We're a global minority and we're not replacing ourselves at the rate that we need to sustain. Like 10 generations, there are not going to be a lot of white people left on planet Earth. And that's actually a very sad prospect. I mean, some people would celebrate that. But if you were to say that about any other group of people, everybody would probably say that's a big problem and that's a horrific thing and it's racist and so on. So, the erasure of white people from planet Earth is a very sad thing. And so when I talk about race mixing, like, yeah, it's about values and it's about these things, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's also not lost on me the sort of civilizational background here, which is that like we are being swallowed up as a people. Like there are a lot of white people that are not having kids, and increasingly there's a lot of white people having kids with people who aren't white. And that wouldn't be a problem if whites had a fertility rate of 3 or 4 or 5, but when it's at 1.3 in some countries, that's kind of like a problem.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, what countries? I would love to know what countries. Pearl, please ask them that. What countries? What country? You got to dive in deep. What countries you thinking the 1.5? Because again, you're an American. You are American. You live here in the States.
Feminism is, I think, the biggest reason.
Do you think it's infiltrated the white community more than other communities?
Totally. Because
Really?
white civilization's ground zero for feminism.
What do you mean? Explain that.
Because like Africa's not feminist. You know, and Asia's not feminist, and the Middle East certainly isn't feminist.
Mhm.
Latin America's not. We are like, it came from here. And that, like, America's really spreading poison around the world. It's spreading feminism, LGBT, this like anti-colonial racial grievance stuff. So yeah, we're ground zero for it.
She paused on that one. Again, if anybody know what feminism is, it's pretty much started in the early 18th century. Went over the last video. Let me get my ugly face in here. Yeah, I'm too ugly. Yeah, so anybody don't understand feminism, you can look it up. I got all the links from the last video. Feminism started around the early 18th century. Did I have no pinpoint on it? Early 18th to 20th century. The second wave was 1960s to 1980s. And then after that, it just started spreading like wildfire. But it pretty much was based on about equality all across the board. All across the board. So you name it, that's what it is. That's where I started. Do we have a point about the yeah, he pretty much got a point about it's starting in the United States. That's it. That's the only point. That is the only point.
Blessing believes in extreme race mixing.
Really?
Yeah. You want to tell him why? Tell him what you told me. Blessing's like mix everything.
What's the
We have Drake.
What is it? We're great?
No, he said we have Drake.
Oh, Drake's Jewish. So I don't know. Do you?
But black and white.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. As a mixed. I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's true. I'm not a big Drake fan, so that's not.
You're not a big Drake fan?
No, not a huge fan. I'm on Team Ye.
We're going to.
Yeah, he's Team Ye, but again, the last video we just went over that Ye had actually fired him due to something that he did between him, Ye, and Trump. So there you go. I'm a fan of Ye too. I just think he's got some kind of, wacky thought process. I love his music. That's how I'm a fan of Drake. No, excuse me. Yeah, I'm a fan of Drake. Mine's the hot sauce and the condoms. I'm a fan of Kanye music. Period.
Talk about Ye in a second. Yeah. You don't believe in race mixing. Oh, you're a proud incel.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
So you've never had a girlfriend?
No, never had a girlfriend. Never had sex. But here's
have you kissed a girl?
Yeah, once.
Once?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a really dorky story.
Okay, tell me.
Do I have to get it? Well, I told it on my show. It was at this Model UN conference when I was in high school. That's really the dorky part. But we went to the delegate dance, and I was India. She was China. We were at the Northwestern Model UN conference, and well, it was simple as that. We were in committee, and I said, "Hey, do you want to go to the dance?" She said, "Sure." Went to the dance. We danced a little. We kissed. But that was like 10 years ago.
And so what? You're just not interested in girls?
Well, the thing is that I'm like a big proponent of. I think that people are too interested in relationships. I think that has become, maybe it always was, people's world kind of orbits around that. And me, I will get married at some point and have kids and everything. Like, I'm open to it, but it's just not something that I'm really interested in. Like, I'm very interested in my business. I'm interested in what I do, the things that I talk about on my show. That's really my main thing. And I was going to say this, like, because I watch your show and, you had Andrew Tate on and everything. And I actually disagree with Andrew Tate, even though we're both like red pill types. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he and the original incels, like Elliot Rodger and those types, they are really on the same, they're the other side of the same coin as the simps, in that both their entire.
To be fair, I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate's, but I wouldn't never label Andrew Tate as a simp when basically forcefully in certain ways, a lot of women don't agree with this, and rightfully so. He has a lot of attractive women around him. He sleep with a lot of women. He love bombs. Hell, even the charges he got now, he had multiple women leaving cross country to come to his house in another country. And he's got millions of views, million of levels of clout a lot of money, and he runs a business. It might not be the type of business I want, or I would say, hey, praise him for it. But he has a very successful business. Even before he started the webcam business, he was a professional kickboxer. So he had something going for him. And he was still actively being active with other women.
Our worldview is based around women.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole, like, that's how they define themselves. Not in themselves, not for their own sake, but in relation to women.
Mm-hmm.
Simps chasing women and wanting to please women and worshiping women and all that, and incels and red pill types as eschewing women or resenting women or, you know, trying to play for women and all that. And I am sort of the third.
What do you mean resenting women?
Like, a lot of incels do resent women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really that. You know, there's a lot of incels that are like seething because they can't get women. I think I could get women.
Well, I'm just saying, like, with Andrew Tate.
Oh,
are you saying?
No, I'm saying, and him being like similar to, because incels are sort of like anti-women in one way.
You think Tate's anti-women?
In a different way, yeah.
How?
Yeah, good question.
Like, he's anti-feminist.
Okay.
I'm saying, like, I'm grouping them together like simps with very positive feelings, white knights, simps.
But I'm saying, how are they?
Yeah, but how, again, still not a fan of Tate, like how he's white knighting. He literally goes in the most hardcore way about women and what men should be doing with them and to them. So again, how this kid bugging me. This kid is bugging. You can't put a label on something and then take 25% of that definition of the word. You called yourself an incel. We went over the word incel. That's you. Then in the same breath, you're trying to label a guy that has a lot of money, a lot of status, a lot of clout, a lot of media influence, a lot of women love him or hate him, around him, sleeping with him, literally do what he says on command, mind you, and somehow he's a simp. Somehow you're saying there's pieces of incels or personality on Tate. That doesn't even make any sense. You just call it like it is. Andrew Tate's black. You don't like Andrew Tate because he's black. That's what I'm seeing right now. You just literally, excuse lack of a better word, you just down the whole Holocaust and every element around it. You disrespected and downed every black person. You did, heck, you even downed your own father that's Mexican, but you're bigging up the Italians. That's pretty much the only race you're bigging up, and maybe some of the Europeans. That's it. And the only flowers he was giving any black person was the black Africans because, hey, they could do the job better. That was it. Ask your question, Pearl.
On the same side or on opposite sides of the same coin.
Because both of them define themselves in relation to women. It's about
Do you think Andrew Tate, his whole worldview is based on how he does with women?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, because his whole program is about, and by the way, I like Andrew Tate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I don't, but that's maybe the one area I disagree is it's about being a top G and attracting all these women and this kind of thing. And I think that attracting women is
yeah, but again, that don't make him a simp. That don't make him an incel. Incel, literally, you just don't get girls. Incel, literally, you're just incel. That's, break it down. Incel. You're not going nowhere. A simp is somebody literally is a guy, predominantly a male, that falls for anything that a woman say or does. She flirts, she better eye. Oh, he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's pretty much what it is. Tate is nowhere near that. I don't even like the dude. I don't even like him. But that's the truth. I think this is a little bit of jealousy. I think there's a little bit of jealousy. You want to be Tate. Like this, let's keep 100. You want to be Tate. You want to, I'm sure if Tate came over to the studio and you happen to be there and Pearl would have riled this up, that'd have been a good conversation. Why you think this to him? And then Tate would have turned on the top G charm and then would have dominated you in the conversation. And then after the show was over, he'd have put pity on you, introduce you to some women and stuff, and then you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. That literally what would have happened. He'd have got one of his bottom B's, hang out with you, whatever do, and you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You probably wouldn't go skeet in your pants. That's a fair assessment.
Byproduct of what a man does by himself.
Does he say that everything is for women?
No,
or
but
to
that's
get women.
maybe that's not what he says, but certainly that is the kind of audience that he's cultivated. There's a lot of guys who look at him as,
hey, what's going on, Sal? You're like, hey, Sal, do you want the link, man? Hey, I saw you at I ain't gonna say the show, I ain't gonna say the platform, but I saw you, man, and it was that's a very interesting take. And our fellow other space that me and you know of, thou should not be named. They was asking about you, brother. Just let you know. So respect for me. I know, you know, they love you over there. So make sure you pop your head over there just for once and say hello to them, because they was kind of asking about you. All right. But if you want the link, Sal, you're more than welcome to get that link, man, because I know you be dropping some good vibes. Oh man. Shout out to Cellulite.
that's the best way to get women. I got to grind and make all this money so that I can get women.
And you're saying that you should focus on your purpose first.
Absolutely.
That sounds like exactly what they say.
I think that maybe that's one part of the rhetoric, but I think that the main trend is that it's really just about game. It's just an extension of the pickup artist scene.
No, I don't think so. I think it's more like they are teaching men how to navigate these modern ass females. And I think that's just a part of and they'll often say to focus on your purpose instead of women, and then the women will come.
I agree.
I don't know. I think a lot of them, again, maybe that's what they say. I think a lot of them put the cart before the horse, and it's all defined in relation to status for women. And it's not to say that that's not important. Like, men should be aware of that, as opposed to thinking it's like, hey, just be yourself and be fat and lazy.
But throughout history, the men with the most status tend to have women.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying that was as a byproduct of their status earned for its own sake.
Okay, so you're saying chase status or chase whatever you're chasing. So for you, it might be
the women should be an afterthought. Should be a bonus. It's an extra.
Yeah, but Andrew Tate said that too. Pretty much every red pill talking point is that too. Build yourself up, get everything first. The women come last. But if everything you gain that you leveled up on, and the women come too, they will automatically supposed to gravitate towards you. That's literally what they talk about. And then you can't say, oh man, you can't literally just say you are a part of the red pill ideas when you're not even about it. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And then they also talk about control. Like, they have the leverage over the women. That's literally what Andrew Tate talk about all the time. He's not putting the cart before the horse. He's putting himself before the women. That's literally what he's doing all the time. Man, you got me sticking up for Andrew Tate. This is crazy.
So if a guy is going to get married and chase his purpose or whatever at 35, is your view that he should be a virgin until he's 35?
Well, I mean, you can date around and everything. You can even get married. I'm just saying that shouldn't be the focus.
Okay, that should
because so many people that I know, they're not thinking about career. They're not thinking about an intellectual pursuit. They don't even care about money. It's just, one, how can I get a girlfriend? And then two, how do I please my girlfriend? And it's like, and it's almost like they're getting a job to please their girlfriend, or getting a job to attract a girlfriend, or something like that.
No, that is incorrect. No. That is incorrect. I've been in so many of these pill spaces. That is Manospheres on both sectors of it. That is not what Andrew Tate be preaching. He said that's not what they be preaching. Trust me, they echo the same thing every time. That is not what they're preaching. And in fact, this guy got me literally sticking up for Andrew Tate right now is absurd. But that is not what they're preaching. I promise you. He said the same things on every platform. On every platform. If anything, I would say he's downgrades and put them below on the lowest pedestal than anything else. It's him before any woman. Women need to do what he say. That's Andrew Tate, the top G. Shout out to his Bugattis.
And I just think, and I also do, again, think that people are different. I think that most people, that's really just about as good as they're going to get. But there is this absence in America of an elite class of people that are actually interested in things for its own sake. Like, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Our society could not produce a philosopher like Hegel. Our society could not produce a composer like Mozart. It could not produce an engineer, an industrialist like Henry Ford. Our society can no longer produce that because we're just not producing. It's the culture, it's the families, it's how people are being reared. It's not producing the kinds of men who are even interested in those things and willing to dedicate thousands of hours to those kinds of things for their own sake. Mm-hmm. Instead, and this is a point that Sam Hyde has made. You know, the guy that 150 years ago would have been a botanist and like gone around his town and found every bug and pinned it to a board and researched their differences is now playing Factorio like Destiny. You know, like 100 years ago, Destiny would be an anthropologist or something. Mm-hmm. You know, and the guys that would be doing the other great things, they're out doing these other kinds of pursuits. And so, you know, for me, like I just really put my work first and things like that. But I think that more people should do that. And if they find a girl as a byproduct, you know, that's great. Mm-hmm. And I think great men should have families. But that to the exclusion of everything else is a major problem.
It reminds me of something my dad always told me to like follow what your interests are and your passion and the money will come. Like he always told me he didn't care if I sold toothpicks on the side of the road or like any of us really. Mm-hmm. It was like follow what you're interested in. You know, it just reminded me of that. Okay, white supremacist. You deny the Holocaust, Charlottesville. Okay, so oh my gosh, did you praise the Taliban?
Yeah.
Bruh.
That one's true.
Why?
The Taliban's kind of awesome. I mean,
oh my God.
Come on.
Okay, I'm not going to pretend like I know. I don't know anything. They have a horrible reputation.
They do have a bad
I thought they were like
reputation.
blowing people's heads off. Is that not true?
Well, I mean, yeah, they punish people severely. Look, it's the mountains, man. I mean, these are like Stone Age people. What are you going to do? A guy steals, you got to chop his hands off. They don't know any better over there. It's like the Middle Ages. But here's why I support that. So the Taliban took over Afghanistan. We left a year ago, and they took over. And I said, look, you know, we're over there in Afghanistan trying to spread gay marriage and feminism. The Taliban came back and said, the women aren't going to school, okay? There's a new boss in charge. Women aren't going to school, and they're not voting, and they're putting the burqa back on.
Okay, I'll support the voting.
Yeah, right. I support that. And the Taliban is like local. You know, they're like a local organic. You know, they're like an indie. America, that was imperialism. America was over there trying to impose our Western liberal way of life, saying, vote. You remember they had that thumb thing as a proof of voting, that their thumb in the ink. The badass women of Afghanistan who are fighting off the Taliban. Vice News reports. Afghanistan doesn't need that. Afghanistan needs wholesome, traditional Taliban rule to keep everybody in line. You know, low crime, keep it traditional, keep it local, vote Taliban 24. You know, that was my angle, is like, we love the Taliban for doing that. We love that for them.
Okay.
Sorry, I know. I knew it was going to be this way.
Wow. Do you denounce the negative stuff they've done?
Yeah. Like, I'm not a Muslim, so I don't support Sharia law and like chopping off heads and stuff like that.
Okay, but overall, you support the Taliban.
Yeah, directionally, they have a good vibe. They're good vibes.
Okay. I'm just going to move on. So you met Trump?
Yeah.
You met Kanye?
Yeah. Well, it's Ye.
Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting.
Don't dead name him.
I'm not trying to. It's so hard to remember.
Yeah, I know. I had trouble at first.
It's like we've called him one thing his whole career.
Yeah. I almost think that he changed it just so we could do that. Part of me. Because everywhere we go, somebody goes, yo, Kanye, could I get an autograph? And he goes, if you call me Ye. And they're like, okay.
You know, he's Blessing's hero.
Yeah, he's mine too.
What was that? What happened first, Trump or Ye?
Ye.
Okay, how?
Well,
I saw you on No Jumper. You said you'd work for him tomorrow. Had you already met him at that point?
No.
So this is really recent.
Yeah, that was a serendipity.
Okay, how did that happen?
So I had heard that Alex Jones had his number, but Alex Jones' producer doesn't like me. So I was like, she's never going to give it to me. So I texted Milo.
You were on Alex Jones, weren't you?
Yeah, with Ye.
Oh my gosh, the guests are going to freaking get you. I have so many things to ask you. Wait, okay. Let's start. What came first? Meeting hot? No. Ye had to come before Alex Jones.
Yes.
Okay, let's start with Ye.
Yeah, so he had been in touch with Alex Jones, which I knew, and I knew they were not going to give me his number. So I hit up Milo and I said, hey, do you think you could like link me up with Ye? Because Milo and that producer are really tight. And I said, I really want to work for him. Like, he's the man. And Milo's like, no, you don't. You don't want. I'm like, yes, I do. Like, he's my hero. And so we got in touch. And it really just kind of happened on a whim. I was randomly in DC. Milo was there too. We met up and he was like, do you want to just fly to LA tomorrow and see if we could work with him? I said, sure. So we went out there and we just met him at the Waldorf, which is where he was staying at the time. And that was that. And so he's interested in running for office. So he kind of brought us on to do political work for him and clean up his old campaign from 2020. And, and as friends, we talked about prospective things that he might do in the future. And so it was really as simple as that. And so that was the week before Thanksgiving. And we just were showing up at his office, and he was really into politics at that time, every day, all day, talking ideas, policy, things like that. And he had this meeting scheduled with Trump for that Tuesday. It had been scheduled before we got there. And the night before the dinner, we were having this really long session, and he asked if me and this other guy would go, just kind of on a whim. He thought it'd be funny if we flew there on Spirit Airlines, just as like a joke. He's like, what if I flew Spirit to meet the president? Just at midnight the night before. And so we flew there.
Spirit. I got no.
Really?
Yeah, they're cheap as hell.
Facts. Thank you. I can allow something that in, but the experience of Spirit though, it is not cool. I do not recommend. I don't want to put they. I don't want to say it because I'm trying to get endorsements. I'm trying to get endorsements. But I would say this about Spirit Airlines. We need to work on we need to work on our policies. A lot of our customer service. We need to not lose our luggage and it come rerouting somewhere else. Yeah, that was and we need to build better spacious airplanes. that is my thing with Spirit Airline. Shout out to Lady Navarre. Appreciate you. Said, wow, KGP, need to get some sleep. This is yeah. I got like maybe 45 minutes of this. I'm trying to bear through it. I'm trying to bear through it. It's a rhyme and reason, lady. I promise you, it's a rhyme and reason because I'm trying to get all the context. Shout out to you, greetings, OG. I'm like this close when I give OG the link. And I'm not laughing at you, OG, because I know you come with a lot of information when it comes to stuff like this. But it's like when you listen to somebody. He denies the Holocaust. He has a lot of weird ideas about how a relationship should be within race culture or lack thereof. A lot of stuff he just said so far is like, hey, he denied his dad, but he's like bigging up his mom for being Italian, but his dad is Mexican. So I'm like, okay. He's okay to date black women, but at the same time, he feels like if a black woman lives in his home or living together, there would be so much of a disconnect. And two, the quote unquote the black woman, if he live in her, she might move something around. Oh man. Shout out to Lady in the Voice. She said, shake my head, don't drink after the GC. This is crazy. I'm honestly, I'm gonna watch cartoons after this. This is how much of drama I'm not about. Like when I hear like stuff like that, I was like, you know what? Let me go watch something that's non-negative. Let me go watch, Happy Days or The Friends or some cartoon or something. Let me watch some comedy shows because you got to filter out stuff like this. You really got to filter out stuff like this. OG, you're more than welcome. Let me know if you're welcome, and I'll jump the link on there. But your mic got to be good, okay? I'm sorry, I'm a pet peeve about mics and links, and I've seen a lot of people on their phones, and someone else, the host, be talking, and next thing you know, the other person went on the phone, and they're still sitting there running their mouth and 24/7. So, we got to give somewhat 75% professionalism over here, but I know you do. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely stay tuned, Lady Navarre. I think I'm guessing the morning, but definitely maybe Wednesday morning. I'm gonna set it for Wednesday morning. No. We got something Tuesday. Where I think we're gonna be talking about mental health. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. I was gonna have a debate 101. I'm not gonna say the name. We're gonna work on that. They got sick, so we're gonna push it over to another day, and we're gonna work on that schedule. First, it's gonna be a 2-on-2 debate, but it's gonna be a 1-on-1. So shout out to Mittens and the other guy. I just don't do stuff fly by the seat of my pants. Things need to get scheduled and timed out. I have a life. I don't know what everybody else is doing on their end, but I actually have a life. So I just don't jump up, just be doing things, be doing it because it's the cool thing to do. No, I got a life. So yeah, but definitely Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time, we'll be having a conversation. It's gonna either be about religious aspects or definitely talk about mental health. So it's gonna be one or two. Or why people are so easily influenced about media. So it's gonna be 103. I'll throw a third one in there. So I might put it as a vote in the community tab. Like, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna talk? Do we want to talk about religious aspects? You know, I know that was a big thing in certain other spaces. People was hyped up about with certain influencer. Do we want to talk about the mental health within media, like we just saw earlier about what it was like, what, an hour ago chat, where people that was fans or lovers or whatever about for fans or supporters of Nick Fuentes came in 30 plus deep, you know, sending strawberries and saying, hey, would you vote that person? You know, so we might have that conversation. Why is people easily influenced? Or better yet, the title would be, why do people have these people as their ideal deities? So we might have that conversation, and or just about mental health. So that's pretty much where we're going to be at tomorrow. So I appreciate you. Lady Boy said, which cartoons, old school or new school or Cartoon Network, adult you know what, that's a good options. I'm gonna go with classical fanboy of the animation. You know, shout out to Vox Machina, that's one of them. Shout out to Invincible, that's on Amazon. So if you're a fan, definitely go check those two out. It's on Amazon. I should get a commercial with them, just promoting them.
I'm a cheap girl. Look at if I could save $1, I do not care. I will fly Spirit.
No way, man. I can't do it, especially on the plane. Like once you do first class, it just changes your life.
It's so expensive though.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but
especially international. It's like
yeah, I don't do it international. No way.
Okay, but sorry, back to the story.
Yeah,
You're flying out to meet Trump.
So yeah, and here's the thing. So the night before, this is the Monday before Thanksgiving. The night before we were going to fly out, like I said, we had this long session, and he floated the idea of me and this guy Jamar going out there. And Milo tried to shut it down. He's like, I don't even think they're going to let you in. They're aware of who you are at Mar-a-Lago. Mm-hmm. Maybe you shouldn't go. And I said, well, can I just like tag along? Can I just fly there? You know, I'd like to just go for the trip.
Thank God you're off the no-fly list.
Yeah, seriously, at that point. Because, yeah, that would be crazy. And so we fly out there. We get to Miami. And there's a whole long story about how we got there. But we get to Mar-a-Lago. I didn't even think they let me in, you know, because they do have security there, and they have a list and everything. And I'm a known entity there. Like they know not to let me around the president. But we pulled up in the car, went from the airport to this place, and we pull up. They let us drive up to the resort. We get out, we walk in, we're in the lobby. I didn't get stopped. We just kind of sat down. And so we're waiting. We waited for a few minutes. And then we see everybody in the dining room get up and clap. And this lady goes, oh, here comes the president. And so he walks in, which was just nuts because, you know, these are my two heroes. These are like for years. Ye, because I've always been a Ye fan. I know people say I'm like a bandwagoner. I've been a fan forever. And I love his music. I think he's a genius, you know. So I was starstruck when I met him. And Trump is like my other hero. I've been like a loyal follower of his forever. So
a loyal follower. All right, fair enough.
He comes in, I was totally starstruck, and they're about to go off by themselves, just him and Ye. And then Ye at the last second turns around and invites us, and we get to tag along too, and we got to join them for dinner. And then that was that.
So what happened at dinner?
Well, it was kind of funny. The first thing that happened is Trump, he said, he gives Ye this iPad and says, hey, this controls all the music in the resort. He goes, put on one of your songs, put on whatever you like. Did you like the music? And it was interesting. The Ye fans will like this. What was his choice? What was the song he put on? I was expecting him to put on one of the hits, you know?
Blessing, guess.
Yeah, what would you think?
It's probably like Ye Loves Ye or something like that.
It's what?
I Love Ye. Is that the song?
From Life of Pablo?
Yeah.
No, not that one.
What was it then?
So, yeah, because I'm thinking like he's going to put on Stronger. He's going to put on Power, you know, whatever. So this is a question only like Ye heads are interested in. He puts on Say You Will from 808s, which is like that's not like one of the top hits, but he explained why later. He said that would be like a vibe song. He said he made 808s for people to vibe out in their college dorms. So he puts on Say You Will. And I think like Trump made a comment, like maybe he didn't really like it or something. So then he put on Stronger. He put on like the all-time biggest hit. So anyway, at first, and it was funny because Ye, he's a little bit shy. He's like, one of the things you find out very quickly is he is just like a very boyish, innocent, very endearing. Like he's really a lovable guy. A lot of people see him as a monster, like, and he is a little bit volatile, you know, and he says that he's aggressive. But one of the things that's so lovable is he does just have this boyish sort of childlike charm, and he's magnetic to be around. So, and one of these things is he's like a little bit shy, like kind of have to like warm up to people. So initially he was just not saying anything. He was sitting there in this big blue NASA coat, and he was just kind of chilling, listening to the music. And Trump is doing this like really cringe. He's talking to him like a black voter. So he's telling him about the First Step Act, and he's telling him about the opportunity zones and all that. And it was almost like he was on autopilot. And so, and Ye, it was actually a little bit awkward because Ye just wasn't even saying anything for the first 30 minutes. So the president's like looking at him, making eye contact, kind of trying to, like any conversation, trying to elicit some response. And Ye was very, neutral. And so then, and this was very bizarre, at some point in the dinner, Trump got a call, and we don't know who it was from. We found out later, we thought we might know who it was.
Who?
His lawyer. Mm-hmm. Because right before the dinner, this woman was with us, this woman, Karen. She worked for Trump before. Yeah, literally. Her name was literally Karen, and she was a Karen, actually. She tried to get me fired. That didn't work. But so anyway, so Karen, she had worked for Trump in Florida. She ran the Trump campaign in the state of Florida in 2016. She was now part of our entourage. And she texted Trump, or rather she texted Ye, this big list of notes about what to expect from Trump. Like if he does this, if he folds his arms, it means this. If he puts you on the patio versus in the private space, it means one thing or the other. So she kind of like gave him she kind of gave him a briefing of what to expect before we got there. So right before we pulled up to Mar-a-Lago, Ye said, "Oh, let me forward this to you, Nick." So he texted it to me, and I said, "Oh, I checked my phone. I didn't get the message." I said, "Oh, I didn't get the text." He goes, "Oh, okay, that's weird." Turns out he had accidentally sent that message to a lawyer whose name is also Nick, who also works for Trump. So I don't know the guy's full name or whatever, but clearly Ye went to forward the text, and he looked up Nick in his contacts, and he just hit the wrong one. And so we believe that he sent it to this lawyer. The lawyer got it from Ye and then sent it to Trump and said, "Oh, they're ambushing you. Like he got these notes from somebody, and they're trying to take you out. They're trying to surprise you." So we believe that Trump got in the middle of the dinner, got a heads up, and somebody called him and said they're ambushing you. So his demeanor flipped after he got the call.
Oh, because he took it as like an attack.
Yeah, like
he was just trying to be prepared. He wasn't trying to attack Trump.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah, we were just trying to figure out how to move.
Right. I mean, it's a tough pitch. You know what he eventually picked.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So then his demeanor flipped, and then he said something to Ye. He said, "Do you still love your wife?" And Ye goes, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Yeah, she's really beautiful. Yeah, whatever." And then Trump said something about how he had freed that woman. Who was that woman that Trump freed? Alice Johnson.
Yeah.
At the behest of Kim Kardashian, Trump freed Alice Johnson, and then she went and voted for Biden very publicly. So Trump brought that up, and he goes, "You remember how I freed Alice Johnson?" He goes, "And then she voted for Biden." He goes, "What a disgusting human being," he says. He goes, "And I want you to tell her that. Next time you see her, I want you to tell her she's a disgusting human being." And I was over there looking at Ye like, did he just, because that's such like an out-of-pocket thing to say. That's his ex-wife.
Right.
And, Ye made kind of a remark about, he's glad that he was divorced or whatever. But still, that's like inappropriate to say the least. So he said that. And then
But that's your hero. That's your hero. Support the man. He's your hero.
Started talking about these two guys that he got released from jail. There was this rapper, again, who was it was it Sweden? A$AP Rocky.
Yeah.
Sorry, the details are a little foggy. So Trump started telling the story about A$AP Rocky, and here's the theme. There was Lamar something who got locked up in China, and A$AP Rocky who got locked up in Sweden. He told these two stories, and same with Alice Johnson, and the theme was Black people that weren't grateful for his support. Like that was the theme of the stories. So he told this story about A$AP Rocky first. A$AP Rocky was stalked by a Muslim gang, and they brandished weapons or something, and he got in a big brawl with them, and they threw him in jail. And that was the gist of it. And so Trump talked about how he called the embassy and said, "You need to release A$AP Rocky right now." And they said, "No, we can't do that." And then Trump, he was very cordial the whole dinner. This is like the ex-president. He starts dropping F-bombs like every sentence. He goes, this is him telling the story. He goes, "You motherfucker, I'll fucking tell you this." And the whole story was like this. The whole story was F this, F that, you fucker this, I'll fucking do this. And we were like, whoa, like this is this is the ex-president, and the whole dinner was not like that. He was very, I mean, he swore a little bit, but
he thought you were ambushing him. So
yeah, so he was like, one, he was pissed. Two, this was also, Trump is like a primal, he's very much in tune to like the body language, and like he's a real power player, you know. And when you get into these powerful types, they play these mind games and they do these like nonverbal ways of communicating things. So one, he was angry and like lost his cool. Two, he also wanted to send a message, so he was very aggressive about that. And the moral of that story, as he told it, was A$AP Rocky wasn't grateful. He said, and if he knew that A$AP Rocky wouldn't be appreciative and thank him for it, he never would have let him out of jail. And he told the same story about the basketball player in China. And he said how the Chinese were very respectful, and one part of the story, which was outrageous, he talked about how he was actually out there for the Chinese. It was like some anniversary of their revolution. And so it was a big state visit for Trump to go visit the Chinese president while this little drama was playing out. And he said that when Trump arranged for the release of the basketball player, the Chinese would not allow the basketball player to go home at the same time as Trump. Trump leaves this big state visit. They hold this guy a little longer. And this is part of the story. He said that when the Chinese released this guy to go on his plane to go back to America, there was this row of Chinese officials, and one of them came out from the line and slapped the basketball player across his face and said, "You disrespected the American president. How dare you?" And that was before they sent him home. And Trump talked about how not only was the basketball player, but the father of the basketball player was also ungrateful. And they thanked everybody other than Trump. And Trump said, if I knew then what I knew now, what I know now, that he wouldn't be grateful.
Sincere says, confused in your supremacy. I see him fear. I sense fear of losing a black friend. Yeah. Yeah.
I would have let him rot in jail for 10 years. Now, at the time, I was just sort of like, oh, he's just telling these stories. These are just really great stories. You know, I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know,
that's like a white person thing. We always assume the best.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. A lot of white people I know, they don't always assume the best. So, you know, again, that's why I like about this is why I dislike about people when they speak in absolute. So it's not always 100. So, and that's her bubble. That's her world she live in. So if she see one thing, cool, great for her. But if I see another thing, okay, it's a conversation. So I see a majority of people see something, quote unquote, white people see something in a positive perspective, aka the glass is half full, versus I see other group of white people see stuff as the glass as half empty, always complaining, talking about their job, they don't got enough, that they at rock bottom, the family, the friends, woe is me, life. So yeah, it's not all white people, it's always positive. And we've seen a lot of news reports with white people doing this, the most outrageous stuff they're doing, hateful stuff they're doing. So it's not always white people so positive. It's not, especially when it comes down to their children. It's not.
He's not bad. He's not actually bad.
Like, okay, this is great. But in retrospect, like, there was a very, very obvious theme, which was these are three black people, Alice Johnson, the basketball player, A$AP Rocky, who Trump did something for them and they weren't grateful. And because they weren't grateful, he hated them and would have never helped them. And they were his enemy. And also there was something in there a little bit about like humiliation, you know, like having the Chinese guy. I don't actually think that happened. Like, I don't think the Chinese guy, maybe he did. But that to me just sounded like one of those negotiation, like verbal emasculation type tricks. Like, here's a black guy getting slapped across the face by a short Chinese guy. And so it's very clear he was not happy. So after that, Ye asked him to be his running mate, which he really did ask. In like a non-joking way, he said, I was wondering if you'd be my running mate. And at that point, Trump flipped out. Like, he started really seething. He didn't raise his voice or anything, but he started talking really fast. And he said, that's really funny. He goes, you know what? You know, I like you. He goes, and you can win at a lot of things, but you'll never win at this. He goes, you can win at music and you can do other things, but you'll never win at this. You should just quit while you're ahead. And then he turns to me and Karen. And me and Trump had a few exchanges before this. He goes, he was very impressed with me. He goes, you two are smart. He goes, come on, you're a smart guy. I know you work for him, but go ahead, tell him he can't win. He goes, I know you work for him, but he can't win. You know he has no chance. You know that. Go ahead and tell him he can't win. And I was sitting there, I was looking at Trump, I was looking at Ye. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say here. You know, I just love you both so much. You know? I was like, I'm not going to tell him that.
You're like, it's like the two parents. I can't take sides.
Yeah, literally, mom and dad. I'm like, get me out of here. So Trump really went off on him and told him, like, you can't leave. and then basically kicked us out. He was like, all right, well, you got a flight to catch. I'll walk you out. The airport's right across. It was literally that abrupt. It was like, okay, now get the fuck out of here. And he walked us out. He wouldn't take pictures with us because the table across the way, you know, when we got up, they all wanted a picture with Ye. And they said it was the richest banking family, I think, in Switzerland or Germany, was dining at the club across the way from us. And they said, come on, Mr. President, let's get a picture with you and Ye. Trump refused. He was like, no, that's okay. And he walked us out. And he gave us this like death stare. Like we literally walked out the door, get in the car, and Trump stood there on the steps. Like, and I think he was glaring at me because Ye was in the passenger side. I was in the back on the driver's side. And he was giving us this like death stare as we drove away. And I was like, damn, like we just went in the former president. This guy's the kingpin of like the American right wing. And we just went in his palace and like shit in his front lawn. And I didn't mean to. Like that wasn't my intention. I know that wasn't Ye's intention. It really was not our intention because Ye has massive respect for Trump. He loves Trump. Like he loved Trump in 18. He still loves Trump. He thinks he's a great guy. He thinks he's the next best choice in 24, you know, if Ye doesn't decide to run. So he loves him and respects him greatly. Inadvertently, though.
Hold up. Kanye West is running for the presidency for the new year? I didn't hear anything about that. I know he was making claims for that last time, but a lot of people laughed at him. You know what? I think it'd be very interesting to see Ye try to run for this year. I think it'd be very interesting. Go ahead, Ye. Do your thing, man. Do your thing.
Oh, we caused this big media circus, and I feel the same way. I love Trump, and it was not my intention for my presence to cause all of that.
Yeah, I hope not. Neither sincere, but again, everybody in media is for the shits and giggles. So yeah, I just want to wake up, turn on my TV, and just see like Ye is actually running for presidency, and he's hitting all 50 states. Okay, let's see how that go.
But it did, you know. Then it turned into this big thing. So,
do you think Kanye could win?
I think he could. Yeah.
Paul, Cap, no.
Do you think they could reconcile Trump and Kanye?
Yeah.
Do you think Trump would?
I don't know, because he is very vengeful and spiteful and stubborn. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if it worked out a certain way.
How crazy would it be? Would Kanye ever be a VP to Trump? I don't think so. I don't think Trump would ever be a VP to Kanye.
No, probably not.
Like it's too much of an ego thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, I almost think Kanye. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Ye, I can't. But I almost think Ye would. It would be so interesting to see both of them on a ticket.
Yeah.
And I think Ye would say yes to that before Trump would. I'm not saying I think either of them would, but if I had to put like yes, one would before the other, because he could run for president the year after.
Yeah.
Couldn't he?
Yeah, because he's young enough and everything. But no, I mean, Ye, people know he wants to be the president. I mean, there's no campaign. He hasn't announced anything. So I don't have any breaking news on that front. But I think that he is a visionary leader. Like he truly is a visionary. And he's not a politician, so he doesn't know the ins and outs of the political scene or whatever. But he's got ideas that can change the world, and he thinks about politics in a way that makes political people feel stupid. Like he makes me feel stupid. He asks me questions and makes me feel like an idiot.
Right, but that's why you'd almost, because they're both geniuses in different ways. I would love to see them on the same ticket.
They should work together, yeah.
But it's more of, it's almost like an ego thing, like whose ego is gonna.
Yeah.
Because I think both of them would have a hard time being a vice president.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think either of them are interested.
But it's just, I almost could see Ye, because he could run after, you know?
Right, Trump really couldn't. He's too old.
Yeah, but Ye at least, and that would almost get him in the door where he actually has political experience. Not that he needs it, you know, I think he could win either way. I think, entertainers are the new politicians. And I don't think
Hold on, just for, because I know we're bringing it up in conversation. I just looked it up. They mentioned Kanye for 2022. But he is not mentioned for 2024. Let me make sure I blow this up so everybody can see it. All right. All right. So nothing really for Kanye for 2024, even though it's brought up. Kanye West 2024 presidential campaign, and the informal 2020 president's campaign of Kanye West began in November 22nd when rapper entrepreneur Kanye West, who is also known by his name legally, whatever Kanye West candidate, campaign 24, key people is not Nick Fuentes' name is up here, but not for him running though. Who is favored to win for presidency election? The top five: Joe Biden with plus 50, 40% dropping. Trump leading second, plus 275, 26.7% rising. Ron DeSantis, a plus 45, 18%, steady. Robert F. Kennedy. Okay. I didn't know the Kennedys were still out and about. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., plus 15,000, 5.9% down. Kevin Newsom, that will actually be kind of interesting. Plus 2,500, 3.8% rising. I don't know. Just the fact it's a Kennedy. But he had that. That's very interesting. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. But yeah, but no Kanye, ladies and gentlemen. No Kanye. Shout out to Sincere. Sincere says Kanye needs to get emotionally stable before he does anything else in his life. I agree. But we already know Kanye's history. We know his history. He's just going to go straight head first into it. There's no fixing anything. He's just going to dive right into it. Kanye is going to be Kanye. Point blank, period.
Really going to see that trend change.
Yeah, it was true with Trump. You know, Trump was an entertainer. So, yeah, I mean,
what's it been like working with Ye outside of that?
It's amazing because the guy is just a force, and people don't realize it, but and I don't know any other celebrities, but I imagine other celebrities, I mean, they all do work, but I also imagine they like to go and party and they like to do the drugs and stuff like that. Ye is obsessed with everything. Like, he wakes up early and he works all day, like literally 18 hours, barely sleeps, wakes up. And from the moment he wakes up, he's going. Like one time, you know, we had just finished. It was a really long day. And, you know, I was exhausted. I was on my way back to the hotel. And before I walk through the door of my hotel, he calls me and he goes, hey, what time are you waking up tomorrow? How long you need to sleep? He goes, I'm like, I don't know, 6 hours. He goes, okay. I woke up, I think like 6.5 hours later. He had called me 15 minutes before, literally called me 6 hours after I hung up the phone. Cause he went to bed for a little while and he was like, I'm gonna be at your hotel in 15 minutes. That's when he picked me up and we went to InfoWars and we did Alex Jones. So it's literally these like 18-hour days, doesn't stop. Even like with Mar-A-Lago. We had a super long day that Monday, the night before. We woke up at the crack of dawn the next day, so barely slept, flew to Miami, drove to Mar-a-Lago, did the dinner, got on a private jet, flew back to LA. Then we got back to LA, we went to Ye's hotel room and talked for another 3 hours. And then we went and then started again the next day early again. So the work ethic is nuts. And the thing is, you know, we're in his office and he's doing everything all at once. So we're at a table doing politics and then he's got all these clothes on the floor and he's got his seamstresses and his designers. And so we'll go and do political for 30 minutes and then he'll go look at the clothes and then he'll make decisions about clothes. Then he'll read out like lyrics that he wrote, like that song he released, the what is it? Someday We'll All Be Free. He just released during all that controversy. Like one day he just came in and said, oh, I wrote this last night. And he literally had just written that, you know, in the middle of everything, boom. And then we were at another hotel and he just cranked that out while we were having a political meeting, while he was doing a meeting about the Donda School, while he was having a business meeting, so I mean, he really is like this Renaissance man, like Da Vinci. Like, I used to think that was a little bit of an exaggeration. Like, I knew he was a brilliant producer and I knew he was a brilliant artist and the fashion speaks for itself. It's like everybody's ripping off the Yeezy slides and the 350s. So I thought, yeah, like he's clearly a super talented, you know, brilliant person with great ideas. But when he would say, I'm the greatest artist ever, I'd be like, well, you know, I don't know. But then you're with him and it's like, nope, he is literally a Renaissance man and he literally is involved. Because I imagine so many artists, you know, they have guys that write their songs.
How do you say I'm in love with a man without saying I'm in love with another man? That part.
Songs or guys that make their beats and, you know, they're really not super involved. They just kind of put their name on it, basically like Trump putting his name on a hotel. But no, I mean, he's 45 years old and he's more ambitious and driven and hardworking than ever. And the other thing is creative, completely open. We'll hear all ideas, say things that everyone in the room will say and dismiss and say, oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's never been done before. And he fires those people and says, no, like, well, tell me, you know, what would it be like if we did that? Tell me how we can do that. I think that's why he's so innovative, because he'll go in a direction that is totally unexpected and maybe unconventional. And maybe even people think it's crazy. And he'll take it there and go there and try it out. And sometimes that's where you strike gold. Sometimes that's where you find the Gap hoodie or the 350s, or that's where you find Graduation, you know? So he is an incredible person. And people say that he's crazy. He is completely lucid. He's hilarious. That's one of the understated things, is one of the most genuinely laugh out loud funny people I've ever met. And I think I'm a funny guy. I'm very picky. Most people I don't find funny. He is one of the funniest people I know, just like effortlessly, great sense of humor. So he's all around a wonderful person, really. And it's such a shame he's been vilified and I'm very saddened by the fact there's all these parasitic journalist types. I got ambushed by a BBC journalist. Sorry, I know it's a rundown. I'm rambling a little, but there was this journalist who ambushed me and said, you're exploiting him. He's clearly unwell. You're exploiting him. And, not only is that not true, but it's a little offensive because, one, he's fully in control. And two, I genuinely have such an admiration and respect for him. And I'm one of the only guys that didn't get fired on his team because I feel like I'm the only one that went out there and said, like, I'm here to fulfill your vision. Like, you're the genius. I'm the student. You made 10, 11 incredible studio albums. You change the streetwear game. You're the guy. I'm here to learn from you and do what you want to do. And for people to say, oh, you're exploiting him or those are your ideas, couldn't be further from the truth. So anyway, so that's what it's like working with him.
Is Ye crazy?
No, not at all. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and
that was like the most silliest question ever. The man just pretty much, without even saying LOVE, he just pretty much confessed his love to Kanye West. He said he's a genius. He gave these great stories about him. That's like the most ultimate bromance ever. And then you ask a question like, is he crazy? Of course he's not going to agree that he's crazy. I don't think, I'm not in love with you. I don't think he's crazy. I think he got a lot of mental issues he needs to deal with within himself. I think it started when his mom passed away. And it just went spiraling all over the place. I think when his mom was alive, he had more focus and more direction and a lot of moral guidance when his mom was around. After his mom passed away, it went everywhere. Do I think he's a great producer, great lyricist, great songwriter? Yes. Very creative? Yes. But the sucky part is, knock on wood, I hope it never happens. If he leave this earthly plane tomorrow, a good large majority of people is going to know Kanye West as a Looney Tunes, as somebody that's bonkers, as somebody who lost their mind. Like, it didn't depend on how he passes, I promise you. And that's not cool, because to be fair, Kanye West did work very hard for what he have. Shout out to Sincere. She asks, do you think Kanye West bats for the team? Do you think Fuentes bats for the team? To be fair, a lot of stuff I've seen with him, I'm just going to keep it clean. I think it's like what he tried to assume Andrew Tate of and some of the red pillars that's literally him. A lot of stuff I've seen of Nick Fuentes. I was a panel with him, asking questions with a lot of other people, Jessica X and other fellows that came in through on Obsidian's channel when he actually came in when Obsidian was interviewing him. He said it multiple times. He is who he say he is, but he'll take the words and twist it and turn it. He's a straight incel. And I think if he come around the right person, which, like, for example, somebody like Kanye West, he will simp for them. He will hardcore simp for them. He is an incel. I'm not going to knock him because, he's a virgin, because we know people out in the real world that's like 20-year, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year virgins, men and women. That's not, there's a reason to put them in a negative light, but a lot of stuff for him just adds up. He's down on his father, bigging up his mother because she's Italian. You're saying that you had dated one race. You're saying you would date all races, but particularly you won't go no further with the black one, except for, I'm attracted to him, but I won't have him live in my house because they will change my culture. They will move in this, that, third. Okay. So him bad for the team? No. I think he pretty much is him, the flicks, his right hand, a lotion, and socks. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. He just doesn't seem the type.
I've seen everybody say, oh, he's bipolar, manic, or something. I look really red, by the way. Do I look red, or is that the camera?
It's the camera.
Okay, I'm hot. I'm like 100 degrees.
I told you.
Damn, yeah, I wore this coat. Why did I wear this heavy coat?
Take it off.
Yeah. No, it looks too cool. But anyway, the jacket's too fire. But so, yeah, everybody says he's bipolar or he's crazy. I've met people that are actually crazy and bipolar. He's just legitimately not like that. Like not behind the scenes, not in front of it. He's just different. He legitimately is just a unique individual. And that's what I would say. And I don't mean that to be like a euphemism for some other thing. I mean, he is just a totally unique. I've never met anyone like him. Mm-hmm. The way he thinks, the way he talks, he's just different.
They always try to label certain. I feel like they label everyone with mental illness.
They do, yeah.
Like ADD, autism. Like they're just giving. My little sister told me she had autism the other day. She's like, when I got tested, and I was like, and she was like, well, mom says that I don't, and like, and I said, Eva, of course you do. I'm not surprised at all. And she's like, thank you. And I was just like, they label everyone with that.
Yeah.
Why are you special? They give everyone something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're all on the
and
spectrum.
It's now you have this guy that's a genius. He's a literal genius, and they're saying he's bipolar and crazy.
Right. He's eccentric. He is an eccentric genius, and the mental illness stuff only comes when he says something they don't like, you know, and that is their convenient cop-out is how is this guy who is universally beloved, admired, respected, critically acclaimed, how could he say something that is so against the grain, like supporting Trump in 2018 or the stuff he's saying today? Oh, well, he's just not feeling okay. Oh, he's just sick. It's like, you know, or the guy that we all love, the guy that we all grew up with and who we all admire and again, universally agree is like a brilliant person, disagrees with the consensus. They can't allow that though. And that's, you know, not to go back to the political, but that is a really big part of the control matrix is when Trump won, they had to say it was a fraud, you know, it was Russian corruption and the crowd size at the inauguration was small. The reason they said that was to delegitimize the victory and say, no, Trump didn't really win.
But we're crazy if we question the election.
Right.
Like then we're conspiracy theorists.
Right.
But Russian collusion, that's...
Yeah.
Blessing, do you think Ye is crazy?
Not Kanye's not crazy.
I thought you said the other day you thought he was.
A little bit. But no other way. I don't know him like he does though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has a way about him that's different. He does things that are very, I would say, provocative. But as far as like legitimate, you can say, oh, that's crazy. It's like, yeah, a lot of stuff he does is crazy. I would attribute it to mental illness though. You know.
Tell me about Alex Jones. How did that?
Well,
I need to know what the thought process was behind that.
Well, I don't really. The thing is, a big part of it is he likes it. It's kind of mysterious.
Okay.
You know, it was really funny because Ali not accidentally, he was sort of like recording Ye when we were in the car driving up to Infors. Ali is like, he was on the show with us. And so these guys who have worked with me and worked with Ali, they were kind of like recording like a mini documentary, like while we were hanging out. And I guess Ye didn't know that. And so they recorded him without the mask on. And Ye saw it on Instagram and he said, you're like the magician revealing his secrets because he was seen without the mask on. So he's really into the idea of the performance of it. And it is a performance. You know, when people I'm sure must watch that and think, oh, what's gotten into him? It's a performance. And, you know, it worked. It was what it was intended to be. It was outlandish. It was a little funky. It was different. It was provocative. It was weird. And, you know, that's part of it. Everything was intentional. The mask, the gloves, the jacket. You know, it was really funny. He had these, I think they were Balenciaga gloves, really expensive gloves. And he lost one of them because we were in Austin. Then we flew to Miami that night. And he lost one of them in Miami. And the next interview he did, he had the same jacket, the mask, and one glove, and he had the other hand in his pocket the whole time because he didn't want people to see his like bare hand. So that's part of it. Like the gloves were part of it. He was telling me about the jacket. He said, I think I'm going to, and it was a last minute decision. It was between that and one other jacket. He threw that one on because he was like, I feel like this is going to appeal to the kind of people that watch InfoWars. This is like the coolest motocross jacket because that's like what people like. Is very like Texas and whatever. So like everything is very intentional, very, very well thought out, stylized. When we went to Mar-a-Lago, same deal. Before we got to the airport, he changed his jacket.
At this point, he just no hate for the conversation, but he just going on and on and on. Like there's no, let me jump in, interject, have some more questions or something. So it's just going on. And Primer's got like 15 minutes of it. So hopefully Pearl's gonna jump in, ask some more questions. Not ask her producer in the back more questions. I thought it was an interview. So we're asking Blessings more questions than we're asking Nick Fuentes. Like this is like 3 hours in. We're at 3:16. We got like a few more minutes left.
Jacket like 3 times. He chose the blue NASA jacket. You know, he liked the color. So.
Okay, I didn't mean his outfit.
Oh. You meant the I love Hitler.
I meant how did he get connected with Alex Jones?
Oh, okay.
What was his intention for going on? It was interview. I should have been more specific. What was his intention for going on the show?
Well, he really likes Alex.
And why? What did he even say about Hitler? I can't even.
Yeah, sincere. He's doing a lot of rambling.
remember. It was something crazy though.
Something crazy.
But maybe
awesome.
it would make sense now that I've talked to you. What did he say?
He said that Hitler did good things also, and that and Alex Jones said, yeah, I guess everybody has something good to offer, and Ye said, especially Hitler.
I'm not laughing. YouTube. That's not funny. Push back.
Dude,
I'm pushing back.
Like, the way he said it was so funny. Like Alex Jones said, I think the Nazis were terrible people and this and that. And Ye said, nah, but we're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time. Like just the way he said it.
Oh, but his point was what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Was that everyone commits atrocities. And so we're always going to shit on the Nazis and the people with like German heritage. However, there's other people that also have done similar things.
He also just loves like Hitler. Like he does admire Hitler.
Damn it.
Yeah. So there's that also, which, I agree with him. I'm like, I admire Stalin. I admire Hitler.
Why?
Well, because look, I mean, you subtract these bad things, and Hitler was like a visionary, great leader. He was like a German statesman. And here's the thing, because, a buddy of mine who is a mutual friend of ours, he was talking to some like minorities on this other show and, or not, non-white people. And they were talking about Hitler. And they were all saying, well, but did Hitler hate black people? Didn't Hitler hate people that are like us, that look like us? And he goes, really? What evidence do you have of that? I said, what about this? And the guy was like, well, what was going on in America at the time? In America, you had Jim Crow. In America, you had racism. The Nazis treated Jesse Owens better than the Americans did. Jesse Owens was given, he was the Olympic athlete in the Munich Olympics. It was hosted by Germany, by Hitler. He was given the red carpet treatment in Hitler's Germany.
Well, he had no choice. He had no choice. Do the homework, people. Do the homework.
It was the Americans that booed him and treated him like trash. So what's the contention? That Nazi Germany was as racist as literally every other country in the world at that time? So there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And what it gets down to is the reason that he's got to be uniquely bad is because of the Holocaust. But if you don't believe in that whole deal, then it's like he's no different than Franco or Mussolini or Mao or Stalin. And Mao is still revered as a god in China, and Stalin. The Russians have a complicated relationship with Stalin. They don't repudiate Stalin's legacy. They actually honor Stalin's legacy because Stalin won World War II. And Hitler brought Germany back from the catastrophic ruin of World War I. Germany was destroyed after that war, and they were literally destroyed for being great. I'm not even German. I'm not even really pro-German necessarily. But Germany was destroyed for being great. It's because at the turn of the last century, their industrial output was outpacing Great Britain's. And Great Britain is the hegemonic power in Europe that kept all the other countries in check. They were so powerful, they kept everybody in check. That's the idea. And so World War I and World War II was about how Germany became unified and then was able to challenge Great Britain. And so it's about this power clash between two superpowers. And so in effect, what happened in World War I is they fought it through to a stalemate. America enters the scene and decisively, on the side of Great Britain and France, and decisively wins the war. And then Germany is destroyed and punished for the whole thing. So they were destroyed for being a great country. They were destroyed for challenging the British. Hitler comes in and it was a miraculous thing. Nobody will deny this. He saved the German economy. He made people feel proud to be German again. He went after, because Germany was also open season. It was communists and anarchists fighting. They wanted to do the same thing in Germany that they did in Russia. Russia, for decades, was chaos because anarchists killed the Tsar. They killed Alex III, and then Nicholas II took power. Anarchists were bombing things. There was a communist revolution. They slaughtered the royal family. It was a disaster for years. They became a pariah state. It took them a decade to normalize relations with other countries. And so the communists and the leftists wanted to do the same thing to Germany that they had done to Russia. And the Russians were sponsoring it. The Soviet state, which is a very rich and powerful state, was sponsoring the communists in Germany. So Hitler comes in, and the country's like a war zone. The currency is worthless. The economy is destroyed. Degeneracy is rampant. There's transgender stuff, licentiousness, prostitution.
There's transgender stuff back then?
Yeah.
When was...
That's why they were burning books.
Wow.
Those were the books they were burning.
Oh, I didn't... Wow. I'm just shocked there was transgender stuff back then.
Yeah, it's Mansfield or Hirschfield. It had some really innocuous sounding name, but it's this Jewish guy who had this like research center, and they were the pioneers in transgenderism, in early transgender surgeries, homosexuality, all that stuff. Like it was all coming from Berlin. And it was horrible. And Hitler comes in. And that's what the book burnings were about. They were burning all these research books about transgender stuff because it was like morally repugnant. It's the same stuff that's going on today. Everybody says the book burnings, they were burning knowledge. That wasn't knowledge. That was perversion. That'd be like if they started burning pornography. Nobody would say that burning pornography is some sick, tyrannical, like backwards. They don't want people to be educated. They would say that's filth. Same deal there. So anyway, so he goes in, revives the economy, drives out the communists and anarchists, brings organized crime under control, builds all this infrastructure. It was amazing. He was Times Man of the Year. Now, he was anti-Semitic. We have to recognize, though, one, everyone was anti-Semitic back then. That's just true. Henry Ford, Charles Lindbergh, all the presidents, all the leaders of Europe, you name it. Not only that, but also the Jews were extremely influential and did inflict a lot of those problems. You know, all that transgender stuff was coming from Jewish intellectuals. People blame what's happening in America today on the cultural Marxists. That's real. The cultural Marxists were all Jews that came from Berlin. They were driven out by Hitler. So when people look at the legacy of postmodernism, cultural Marxism in America today, it all came from Columbia. It all came from these guys at Columbia who originally came from Frankfurt in Germany, and they got kicked out because they were Jewish communist radicals. So, and anyway, this is not like a defense of everything Hitler ever did, but you know, when you strip away this,
the whole point is that he was a visionary and he did good things too. That's but nobody's ever heard that in media ever. So it's crazy to someone who didn't hear your whole explanation.
Right. Yeah.
But when you're explaining it, like Blessing, he kind of makes sense. And it's like, but that's crazy because no one's ever heard this stuff before ever. And even when me and Blessing heard it for the first time, we're like, what? We're just like, I think we did a reaction, but we didn't post it because we were scared. I think we put it on Rumble or something. I don't know, something. Wow. Okay. So Alex Jones, has he heard this stuff too? Because he seemed even shocked.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because Ye was supposed to appear on the Alex Jones show earlier, but they wouldn't do it, partially because Ye had some issues with the setup, but also Ye kept talking to Alex Jones on the phone about Hitler. I was like, you know, I love Hitler, and Alex Jones was like, no, we don't love Hitler, blah, blah, blah. So he's very anti-Hitler. He's not really with all that. But, you know, Ye just likes him. So he got in touch with them, and they want to collaborate and everything, and we did the show, and Alex Jones didn't like it. I mean, he went on Steven Crowder the next week and badmouthed both of us, me and Ye, which I thought was very unprofessional, because he's, you know, hey, not for nothing, but he makes $50 million a year off supplements and those things. And if you look at all the companies that produce those things, you know, let's just say they're interested parties. Let's just say there's an interest, you know, in some of the financial things.
That clip of Ye talking about, I can't remember what it was, but he was like, the doctor, I'm not going to say the rare or something.
It was a Jewish doctor.
What happened on Tim Pool? Why do you walk out of Tim Pool?
Because they kept pushing him. He told them, and I could tell it was going to happen because Ye was like, he was heating up. He was heating up quickly. He said, like, I'm not about to explain myself. They took, you know, $400 million from me, or $2 billion, and then they froze $300 million. Because I'm not about to explain all this. But Tim Pool kept pushing and saying, no, it's not the Jews. It's liberals. It's not this, it's this. And Ye told him, he said, look, he literally warned him. He said, I'm about to walk the F off the show and hop on a private jet and fly out of here. And then that's exactly what he did, because they kept pushing him. So a lot of people said that we had staged that or planned that. Wasn't staged. You know, we went in there and then we went out, you know, and then we left. So he just didn't like Tim Pool very much.
Wow. I think I got red pilled a little bit more this interview.
A little bit. Yeah. I'd be the guy to do it. You know, I'm the human red pill.
Well, what do you think, Blessing? Is he a white supremacist?
Nah, I don't think so.
Let's go.
I feel like a boy, actually.
We have to let the black guy in the room decide.
Yeah, literally.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Where can they find you?
Cozy.tv. Where's my camera? This one? Cozy.tv/Nick.
I'm sure we're going to edit parts of this out. I'm almost positive.
All right. We finally got through that. Appreciate everybody for coming on through. I definitely appreciate the Nick Fuentes supporters that just bum rush through the chats, all 30 something plus y'all guys. If y'all hit the like, I appreciate you. Heck, if you hit the thumbs down, definitely appreciate you. Especially when I hit the subscribe mode, only 2 of them came through. So appreciate your Mittens and the other ice guy. Just don't come at nobody's random stream demanding to debate somebody in the middle of their stream when that's not the part of the conversation, to debate some random guy when the topic was literally about just pearly things, interviewing Nick Fuentes, because that was a topic from there. You know, I don't know how other YouTubers do this, but all my information is on a link. Is there for a reason, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And also, when my mods, it's a kind of courtesy and respect when the mods is actually saying something to you, because they are an extension of me and AKA the Grey Pill Podcast. So when the mods is actually being very polite and telling people hey, turn the page, it's cool, links is there, contact them. Don't try to play slick in the word playing game and hey, well, he already suggested it. Okay, again, move along with it. You know, YouTube is up to 1 billion now. Trust me, there's plenty of new faces, fresh faces everywhere. So it's all good. But again, no harm, no foul. Appreciate you. What else? So Tuesday, definitely expect a conversation, open panel with guests for the topic. So it might be over mental health. It definitely might be religious aspects of all kinds, or we might be just talking about how people just worshiping people on social media as they are deities, like they are more than meets the eye, like they are gods in some way, shape, or form. Definitely appreciate everybody came through. Definitely appreciate Sincere, the mods in here, peace, love, Lady Devore, who actually was powering through it with me, because I know I was. This was part 2. So also let me get this response to, where is it? All right, get my ugly face up here. Where is that? Where at? Yeah, let me get my response to Nathan Daly. Nathan, yeah, we gotta have that talk, sir. I think she racist. That's my assessment. There's a lot of things during that interview. I'm all fine with the interview. I'm very much fine with the interview, and me and you pretty much on that same spectrum. I am down to interview anybody. I've interviewed a lot of people thus far, not as much as you have on YouTube, but I interviewed a lot of interesting people. I think I will love to interview more interesting people just for the genuine conversation. But whether we feel Pearly Things is dumb or not, it is some things you just can't find funny. Some things you just can't laugh at. Some things you just can't kiki and cuckoo for. So I'll reach out to you, sir, and we can set up a day to plan this out for that conversation and that debate here on the Grey Pill Podcast. And I probably have to check your videos too, because I've seen it. So we have to break that down. Oh, also, Sincere, if you're in the space, but I'll definitely email you, Sincere. The debate for Tuesday is canceled because somebody was sick to have that debate. We're going to reschedule another time, so that's going to be a 1-on-1, not a 2-on-2. But I'm still drop you the link and anything else for just a general conversation. I know how you run things on your end, so I generally ask people as preferred if they could just come up, but I know how you run things on your end, so you don't have to. So you're more than welcome. It's going to be the same time, but we're just going to have like an open panel and general discussion for that Tuesday. Okay. And that's it. Then we're more than welcome, because I know how you like to do your thing. We can have like an after party. Pretty much same concept. Once we're done, I don't drag out stuff. We could pretty much have like an after party year end and just chop it up and chill over there, Highlander country. So I'll catch y'all guys later. Appreciate y'all guys. Again, if you're new, coming on through, bum rushing through, whatever, definitely hit the subscribe button, definitely hit the likes. To the supporters or non-supporters, add some actual value in the conversation, the comments. I mean, I seen y'all did it in the first one. It's fine. So it's your opinion. If you think you saying Nick for the win, you like Nick speaking facts, I'm not gonna knock that. You know what I'm saying? You like who you like. It's all good. So appreciate your guys. Definitely hit the like button, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch you on the next one. Peace.
At last.
The king's back and the throne's mine. The future's here and it's my time. Straight shot, going for the head with it. Take his head off and say that I did it. Good riddance. Say hi to the bad guy, I'm back in business. If you took what's mine, I'm back to get it. There's nothing you can do, I'm back with vengeance. Now turn me loose. Now turn me loose.